show. Hosted by Haveman Bros. We're talking green and gold. Headshot and go Pack Go!
Hey, welcome in for another show here of Haveman Bros. The Packers had a bye week. We took a bye week, but we're back to rap about the NFC North, the Packers, and the flailing Jets a little bit as well. We'll save that for the end, maybe. How you doing, bro?
I'm tired.
Tired? You got to work tomorrow?
Yeah. And I worked today, worked really hard, worked too hard.
Like this guy right here?
Yeah, I worked just like that guy.
That's
That's what I look like at the end of my shift today.
I bet.
Just without the beard and the mustache
Wait, look at this one.
and the long hair anymore.
11.1.
I don't know what that means. I'm not.
It means higher alcohol content. That means drink it fast. Look at my glasses. Drink it fast, and you'll.
When
feel
did you?
good.
Your glasses are bad. When did you start wearing glasses? I thought you got the LASIK eye surgery.
I got big news. Get this. Get this.
You're more blind than ever.
No.
Oh.
So, you get LASIK. It corrects your nearsightedness. Okay, but it doesn't mean that your eyes won't change later potentially, right? It's basically like resetting your eyes, and then hopefully since you're older they don't deteriorate like they do when you're growing up and getting, from young from your youth, where they go down super fast. Your vision goes to crap fast.
Well,
So
you had glasses when you were like in second grade, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I had a good 10-year run where I was seeing great after LASIK, which when you factor in how much it costs, was probably less expensive than getting like contacts and glasses during those 10 years. So it's fine.
Yeah,
But what happened is I started having this issue where I was like, I can't, like, it just felt like my eyes were fighting each other and I couldn't, focus in on stuff sometimes and all this. So then they said, oh, well, your one eye is getting bad, but this eye, your right eye is going downhill a little bit, but your left eye is still great. So I was like, okay, great. So I got these glasses. So there's not actually any correction in my left eye, but there's like a little correction in my right eye. And then I had some astigmatism stuff. And then I was getting the old manness. So then I needed to get the progressive part in there so I could read stuff.
Yeah.
But I still didn't wear them that often because I didn't need to most of the time. But at night it helped a lot. Okay. And then all of a sudden it's getting like weirder, my vision again. So I go in for another eye exam and they're like, oh, this eye needs more stuff. Okay. And then they asked me, like, my left eye was having a little trouble taking time to focus on stuff. And they're like, does that always happen? I said, well, I don't know. Sometimes, I guess. I don't know. So come to find out, I hear the words from the optician or optometrist or whatever she is. And she's like, you're a little young for this, but you're actually starting cataracts in your left eye. And I was like, what the?
Probably from LASIK eye surgery.
No.
It's the side effects, broseph.
No, it's bullshit.
You are old.
But then she's like, you know what? Cataracts it's actually not that bad. It's like, it's similar to the LASIK procedure. So it's not too big of a deal. And then they just put a new lens in and you're good to go for a while. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I was like, in the last couple of years, nearsightedness and now cataracts starting in my left eye. And I'm 48 years old. So figure that out. Whatever. There's my gripe for the week, for the bye week. My bye week gripe. All right, let's talk about it. I don't think we should talk about Packers quite yet. Maybe we should. Should we start with Packers? Or should we
Will and G starting right away, 6-3.
What the hell? 6-3. He's all excited, but hard to have. Why is it hard to have much confidence?
I didn't watch the game back from the Lions game. I didn't want to because I was too it was so bad. I was like, no, I'm not watching this back.
I mean, it was a weird game too, right?
So
crappy weather game.
Right.
And what did they do? They chose to try to throw the ball in the red zone and stuff like that.
Even though they were running the ball great.
Yeah, right.
And then the whole Jordan Love pick six just ended it. And I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, like, this is the type of thing that bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the guy's making $55 million a year. You paid him because you saw him play good for 8 games, and then you decided, oh, he's a great quarterback.
We paid on potential and projection again.
Awesome. Way to waste more money, just like you
Not
did Kenny Clark and all Jair Alexander and Dave Bakhtiari wasn't potential, but of course he got injured and then never played with Sean Gary, garbage, right? All these garbage players that we paid a bunch of money to. Awesome, way to go. But that's not the point.
Well, they're just low impact players. That's all.
The point is this: do you want to win games, or do you want to make your money investment look like a wise decision?
Mm-hmm.
Are you forcing Jordan Love to be the star that you paid him to be, or do you want to win games? That's what it comes down to.
Right?
As a Packer fan, I want to win games. Right? I don't care if I'm a big Aaron Jones fan. I love Aaron Jones. But when Josh Jacobs is ripping off runs and breaking tackles and stuff, I can't hate him. You know what I'm saying?
And he's staying, like, he's been available pretty much all the time.
And you would think this is the biggest thing at a pinnacle game in the Super Bowl, when the Seahawks were 1 yard away from winning the Super Bowl, they chose to make the quarterback the hero, or try to make the quarterback the hero, instead of just running Marshawn Lynch in for a 1 yard touchdown to win the game. And it cost them the game because they tried to make something that they didn't need to do. You were trying to do things you didn't have to do. Just win the games. And that's the biggest problem. The Packers are one of the worst teams in the red zone. Only 40-something% of the time, 45% of the time if they get in the red zone, they score touchdowns. That's pathetic. I can remember when they had Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams at Aaron Jones. I think it was 2001 or 2021 or 2022. They were like number 1 in the league. Remember? They were like 90% or some crazy number, right? Where they get in the red zone, they score a touchdown almost every time. Now they can't even do it 50% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's also not just Jordan Love. I mean, when Malik Willis was quarterback, we weren't scoring touchdowns either. That great. We were a little bit, but better than with Jordan Love, but not much.
Well, but
so there's something going on. I don't know what it is, but yeah, go ahead and talk. But I'm just saying, like, this is the thing that the biggest issue to me with this team, out of all the issues, and there are some issues, and there are a lot of great things, and there are a lot of bad things. Mm-hmm. You know, the play of the defensive backs, especially corners, bad. The pressure from the defensive line, terrible. Mm-hmm. But the idea that we are going to force this guy who we paid $55 million to try to be the superstar that he just isn't, instead of wanting to just win games. Malik Willis should have started against the Vikings. We would have won. Malik Willis
against the Lions.
Probably should have started against the Lions. I don't think we would have won, but we would have been.
It would have 24-14.
Dude, the Lions didn't do shit in the second half. They freaking took the freaking foot off the pedal. They had no reason to play hard. They were like, these guys are so pathetic. Dan Campbell felt sorry for us.
No.
Yes.
Look, the Packers had chances. The Packers decided to throw the ball 39 times in a garbage weather game that was wet. And, you know, another example of red zone issues is like, great. Just go back to what you might call the one of the drops in the game where Jordan Love rolls out to the right, throws back across his body, throws behind Dontavian Wicks, and Dontavian Wicks reaches back and he can't catch it.
But they call it a drop on him. And that's all I've heard a lot of. That drop in the end zone. Oh, this guy had a drop. Oh, this guy had how about the pass to frickin' Emmanuel Wilson thrown frickin' way behind him when he was, or maybe it was Brooks. I can't remember who it was. It was one of those two guys who was wide open on third down. It would have been a walk-in touchdown, threw behind him.
Yep. And
it was an easy, like a maybe 7 yards in the air from the line of scrimmage.
Well, and that's fine. Like, the weather conditions were not great for throwing the ball.
No, but the ball was thrown behind. But it was a wide open. Love throws off his back foot for no reason constantly.
I know. But what I'm also saying is you call the game based on the conditions in the game. Like you were running the. I remember what was it like? Did Jacobs have 90 yards or something in the first half?
In the first half, yes.
So we're like, oh
Yeah,
man,
but hold on. That
Okay.
pick six changed the game.
come on.
The pick six changed because then the Lions got the ball. Didn't they line? I can't remember. I don't want to get
Lions
into
scored
that game.
17
The game
points
is so
in the
old.
second quarter. They scored 17 points in the second quarter.
Well,
so
they scored 7 off of Jordan Love.
right, I know, but what I'm saying is there. So it wasn't like, oh man, you got a whole half to go. What are you doing? You don't need to throw it 39 times in a terrible weather game. You don't need to force passes when you can run. You don't need to not run in the red zone. You don't need to work your way down the field when you're balanced and then get in the red zone and then pass 3 times and then have to try to kick a field goal. This is what the Packers do. They've done it for years.
I know, but what I'm hold on.
And it goes back to what you're saying. Rodgers was the star, so it had to be Rodgers' way once he became
But
the
that
guy.
was different, right? But with Rodgers gone, we all thought as Packer fans, okay, this is going to be the Matt LaFleur offense now. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have a quarterback who will listen, and they won't try to force it into something else. But after they gave him all that money,
exactly,
now they have to force him to be something he isn't. And it's costing us games.
They have to force him
the
to
team is talented
like
enough.
He's something that he isn't.
Right. But what I'm saying is, because they're doing it just like the Seahawks did with Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl, it cost them a damn Super Bowl. When are they going to when are teams going to learn this? It's one thing if you have a diva baby ass bunch like Rodgers, right? Who just takes the control of the game. Like you call a run, he's like, no, F that, we're going to pass. We know he does that constantly. He always has done it. But Russell Wilson didn't do that. He didn't change the play from a run to a pass. They called a pass in that Super Bowl because they want to make him look like the star. They chose him over Marshawn Lynch or anybody else or the Legion of Boom, and it cost them a second Super Bowl.
Go finish. Sorry, I'm just kind of going off of your Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, is he going to be comeback player of the year?
I think he is because he's playing great.
There's one washed up quarterback who fell on his face, who's doing good, and there's one washed up quarterback who fell on his face and is laying in the mud and pointing the finger at everybody else and whatever.
But the difference is one of them takes the shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like even if the game, because he does not look good all the time, Russell Wilson, but he also has the lowest. Are you ready for this? The lowest interception rate. He has 1 pick this year. 1 pick.
Rodgers better be careful. He might overtake him again in the ratio. Remember, he was getting close for a while.
I know. But and also George Pickens. I hate to
really good.
I hate to go back in time on draft night a few years back, and there's a certain guy who kept saying George Pickens with every damn pick.
You did.
And George Pickens is definitely better than Quay Walker. He's definitely better than Devontae Wyatt. He's definitely better than frickin' Watkins. He's better than all 3. I said George Pickens at all 3 spots because we needed a guy who can just catch the damn ball. No matter what, catch the damn ball. And as much as we have a bunch of really good receivers on our team, none of them are George Pickens. Now, George Pickens had some off-field issues that might have been a problem, and maybe the Packers just didn't even have him on the board, and I get it.
JJ wanted Pickens too.
JJ, I was there too with you, buddy. Go back and watch our draft show from that year, and you'll hear me say George Pickens about 17,000 times. And he was still there the whole time.
Yeah.
He was still there the whole time, all 3 spots.
He's not a burner, right? And he's not super tall, but he's good at everything, and he can jump high, and he's got great hands, and he catches everything.
And he has great awareness of he has control of his body, and he has awareness of the ball in the air. And it just shows the difference, the dichotomy between a George Pickens player and a Christian Watson based on that Lions game. When that ball is thrown and he misjudges it and he slows down and the ball sails over his head because he doesn't judge the ball in the air. Yeah. Plus, how many times have we seen him on jump balls where he doesn't know how to control his body to actually go up and catch the ball and then come down in bounds or whatever? Because he's not Jordy Nelson, who was a great guy who controls his body, make crazy catches on the sideline, and Devontae Adams, who's able to adjust and read the ball in the air and slow down and speed up and wait till the very last second to catch the ball. And George Pickens, who does the same type of stuff. He's a Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams combination, but he doesn't have the speed of Jordy. So he's more like Devontae Adams, but he's not an asshole. Well, he maybe is an asshole. I don't know. Maybe that's why the Packers didn't draft him. But it's just obvious we have a lot of issues that when you change the quarterback to the backup quarterback, you force Matt LaFleur to run the ball more, number one. Number two, we have a quarterback who has the athletic ability to escape and extend drives on third down, which Jordan Love does not have. Plus, he's injured, which is even worse.
They show plays. What was it like from the week before where Willis got in the red zone specifically, where the defense was worried about him running, so it opened up stuff for the tight ends, right?
Well, Tucker Kraft was wide open. He was dancing on his way to the end zone,
right?
And that's the biggest difference. I'm not saying Malik Willis is better than Jordan Love. I don't think he is. I think he's better for this team than Jordan Love is. We don't have the receivers who are studs. We have a bunch of good receivers who, when they're wide open, can make a play and catch the ball, but can't do it when time is really needed. When it's third down and make the catch, there's one guy, Romeo Dobbs, and sometimes he drops the ball. But Malik Willis, when he's out there, it forces Matt LaFleur to run. It forces the defense to be a little more concerned about the run, which then lets our receivers, who are pretty good but not great, get more one-on-one matchups, allows them to get open and so forth. And it takes pressure off the quarterback because of the running game. It extends drives. We were one of the best running teams. We were the number 2 running team in football before Jordan Love showed up and started playing again. And now we're knocked way down to like 10 or 11 or something crazy like that. The other thing, real quick, Andy Herman did a show this week. I hate to call it Andy Herman again, but I'm doing it because I can't take it. Talking about
what's Andy doing now?
He's talking about the interceptions and the Jordan Love stuff. And he says Jordan Love's interception ratio is 26th out of 39 quarterbacks this year. And he said that's middle of the road. And I'm like, no, it's not. If there's 39 quarterbacks with 100 or more attempts, and he's the 26th ranked, because that's the other thing. He made sure that it was enough that Malik Willis didn't show up on the list, because Malik Willis doesn't even have 100 attempts in his 2.5 games, because Matt LaFleur is forced to run the ball, doesn't have to pass it that much, which is more efficient, which we already gone over, but that's besides the point. He said Jordan Love is ranked 26th in interception percentage to pass attempt. It's like whatever it is. 4.7. Okay. Every 4.7 attempts, it's a pick or something.
That's not middle of the road, but
not every 4.7. 4.7 out of 100. I'm sorry. But anyway, 26 out of 39 is not middle of the road. 19 out of 39 is half. That's middle of the road. But not only 26 out of 39 is not middle of the road, 26 out of 32 teams. Think about that. If you take the top 32 quarterbacks and he's ranked 26th, that's pathetic. That's not even halfway good. Then he also mentions the turnover-worthy plays. There should have been a play against the Eagles that should have been a pick six that Dean dropped. Otherwise, he would have had a pick six against the Eagles. That would have been 3 pick sixes from Jordan Love, and he missed 2.5 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and he's like, oh, it's okay. Everybody calm down. It's middle of the road, and it's what you're looking for. And if you add this season to last season, his numbers are comparable to Josh Allen. I'm like, oh, well, Josh Allen makes a lot of dumb interceptions and picks and stuff. Except, you know what else he does? Runs like a crazy man, runs over people, gets first downs, gets rushing touchdowns, freaking throws the ball like a freaking laser beam at guys, doesn't throw the ball off his back foot ever, stands in the pocket and gets hit when he's throwing it. He's way better than Jordan Love. So you compared one number, turnover, whatever, I think it was turnover-worthy play number to Josh Allen's turnover-worthy play number, and you say that's good. Except that's the one thing everybody complains about with Josh Allen is his turnover-worthy plays. And then when you add all the good things of Josh Allen and take all the shit from Jordan Love, that drops Jordan Love way down to here, and Josh Allen goes way up to here in the top 5 quarterbacks. Jordan Love drops to below 20. And that's the key. When will they freaking figure it out? You play in an outdoor stadium with bad weather, with a head coach who has a bunch of cool running schemes. We've seen the plays. They also don't run those cool runs when Jordan Love is out there.
I know. They just don't do it.
With the bad snaps from freaking Jenkins. Because Love's got an injured leg, he has to be in shotgun the whole damn time. If you have Malik Willis out there, he could be under center and you run the ball and you kick ass. But you got 3 freaking terrible plays that were dead because of freaking you got Jordan Love out there, and that's not even including the terrible plays by Jordan Love. That's just freaking bad snaps.
Well, and also because you don't have a good starting center and you don't have a plan for a backup center. Clearly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an issue
Well,
from
we all know about that. They had a good player, and he was
but
even a
it's
free agent. They could have signed him again.
I know, but it's an issue from the coaching standpoint, but also from the personnel standpoint. Just
Well,
thinking, oh
personnel,
well,
we don't even.
well, somebody will do it. So wait, Josh Myers, how often does he get hurt? Pretty much every year for some games, right? He leaves
Yeah.
games pretty much every year. So don't you think you should have someone who's suitable at center and have a plan for that? Because it didn't seem like they had a plan. It seemed like they were like, oh crap, well, let's just throw Jenkins in there. And yeah, we'll do that because that's our best line, which probably is. But when you take a guy who's hasn't played center in years and you throw him back in there, like you think he's going to be good at it or rusty at it? No, he's going to be rusty, and his snaps aren't going to be good. I don't know. Whatever. Okay. Look, you're right on all that stuff. Jordan Love it's not about Jordan Love. In terms
It's not.
of
It's really
in
not.
terms of him being bad. It's that they choose, like you said, they choose to play differently, run their offense differently, call different plays when they have Jordan Love in there because they paid him so much money. And when they were forced to call different plays and run the offense differently, it looked pretty good and it was effective and they controlled the ball. And Malik Willis, I'm not like you, I'm not saying Malik Willis is a better quarterback than Jordan Love, but Malik Willis threatens the defense in more ways than Jordan Love. And that can make your offense easier.
He also doesn't throw picks. He's got no turnovers this year.
Yeah.
In 2.5 games. And we've won them all. Now, though some of those defenses he played were bad. The Colts, the Titans, they're bad. We get it.
Rodgers looked good against the Titans. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. But that's not the point of what we're trying to get at as Packer fans. I've been waiting because you know me, I love running backs. I want this team to be a smash mouth, smack you in the face running team. And everybody talk like we talk about this all the time. You talk about this all the time. When we get to the playoffs, everybody's like, we want home field advantage in the playoffs. No, we don't. Not with the way that we play the game with Jordan Love.
No.
And Aaron Rodgers. They're indoor stadium quarterbacks. They want it perfect, so they're perfect passes. That's what they want. But when you're a team that is outdoors, in the cold, in the weather, in the that kind of stuff, you need to run the ball.
Yeah.
You need to use the elements to your advantage. And they keep building the team around this, you know, I don't know what their deal is. They keep drafting young, skinny, athletic offensive linemen, and then at our tackles, and then try to play them at guard, and then you wonder why they get their asses blown up. That's why they're forced to play with Sean Ryan, and he's blowing guys up in the run game. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's helping them look good in the running game.
Right.
And I just wish they would figure it out. As a fan, don't you want to win games, team? The Packers, don't you want to win?
I thought when Rodgers and Devontae were gone, it wasn't going to be about how it looked anymore. We were just going to worry about winning games. But then you had the situation with the contract with Love, and you paid him all the money. And now it's once again about having to, yes, we want to win, but we want to win when it looks like this. So it looks good for him, for our investment. And that's the teams that do the best consistently don't care about that. Yeah. They will reward their players and they will pay their players that they need to. But when push comes to shove, they'll just do whatever they got to do. And those players will do whatever they got to do. Did Patrick Mahomes play great as a quarterback last year? No. Did he play great in the Super Bowl last year? Hell no. But when it came down to the last drives they needed, he did whatever he had to do. He ran a bunch, whatever, to win. Just win. Yeah. Like it's frustrating because they overcomplicate it. They have recipes for more sustained success and consistent success on offense and in the red zone. Everybody knows, and they talk about it all the time, how the windows are tighter. It's harder to pass in the red zone. all this shit. Well, then keep the running option alive. Like, at least try it. At least threaten the defense with formation and other things you're doing to do that and give it a shot. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's
I don't understand too. Matt LaFleur likes to
4
do.
touchdowns.
He likes to. The biggest problem I think with our team in the red zone at this point this year.
Yelling. I'm sorry.
No, it's good that you're yelling. I like it. The difference in the red zone for me is like, and I haven't seen this in a long time. Like in the Mike Holmgren era, even with fullbacks and so forth.
Holy Lee.
He would sometimes spread out the defense. Like if he knew, okay, my offensive line is not a very strong offensive line. We're not very good against big, tough guys and D tackles and D linemen. So the best way to attack that and to maybe actually gain some ground in the running game inside the red zone is to force the defense to play the pass by putting out wide receivers and such and not tight ends. Play 4 wide receivers. But not only that, we have at least 3 wide receivers on this team who are all really good blockers. I mean, Jaden Reed's pretty good at blocking. Actually, Bill Melton's good at blocking, even though he's small. Malik Heath and Christian Watson, those guys are all good blockers. You can put those 4 receivers out there, force the defense to play more defensive backs and small guys. Also, it forces them to not play 5 down linemen. They'll have to play 4 down linemen because they have to be worried about all these receivers in the pass patterns and so forth.
Yeah, they'll adjust.
And you do right, and then you attack one spot. You double team this D tackle and you double team this D tackle, and you run it up the gut. It's that simple.
It doesn't have to
and
be
you
hard.
open up. There's lanes, there's openings, there's things to work with. But Matt LaFleur keeps calling these plays where he's got 2-3 tight ends in there. He's got everything bunched up like this in the middle. They put all their big fat guys in there, and then we call the run play, and it goes for nothing because our offensive linemen cannot get push, other than Sean Ryan, who's the only guy who's strong. The other guys are all athletic and agility guys at offensive line, which is great for pass protection, not great for running unless you're, doing some kind of pull and pin and all that kind of cool stuff. But they don't do a lot of that with Jordan Love at quarterback. And what you're doing is you're not putting your players in an advantageous situation. Your guys aren't good in a phone booth. They're not. They're better when it's wide open, when they can move, when they have more space, when they can freaking attack and use their speed to their advantage. Or you force the other team to put in quicker guys, and then that does give your offensive line your strength advantage over smaller guys because you're playing more wide receivers, which forces more defensive backs on the field, less defensive linemen, so forth, and it allows you more running lanes and allows you to use your strength at offensive linemen because you're going to be stronger than the majority of the players on the other side of the field. But when you bunch everybody up and you don't have tight ends who are great blockers, and I hate to say it, but really the guys aren't great blockers at tight end. We love Tucker Kraft, but he's not a great blocker. He's okay. And it really takes away, and that's why they call a run on first down, which everybody knows they're going to do. Field goal. And that's the other problem. And I'm not saying you have to do this every time, spread out the defense.
No.
But come out there and do it on first down once and see what they do.
Yeah.
Because guess what?
See how they adjust.
If they come out with 5 down linemen and 2 linebackers, and then you've only got 4 defensive backs and you got 4 wide receivers out there, you got man coverage.
Yeah.
Or you got a linebacker covering Jaden Reed in the slot or something. Guess what? You're winning that matchup. Force the matchups. Force the advantage for your players. And then guess what? Next time they're like, oh, shoot, we got screwed up last time. We can't do that again. We're going to have to put in the smaller guys and cover those receivers. Then you run it up the gut and smack them in the face because you got bigger guys against the smaller guys. Change it up. Be more aggressive. Do things that actually put your players in the best place to be advantageous. And Matt LaFleur doesn't always do that. He just calls plays.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is my red zone package. Well, screw your red zone package. Change it up. Give them something different every now and again and force the defense to freaking be a little bit more concerned about things. But he doesn't do it. And we praise Matt LaFleur because of the way Malik Willis, he called the games for Malik Willis.
Yeah.
It was an awesome game call, awesome play calls, awesome game plans in those games. Totally different than what we've seen from Matt LaFleur in the past. And then Jordan Love shows up at quarterback, and it goes back to the same old Matt LaFleur crap. And I don't get it.
Well, just to kind of lay it out, and I know everybody wants to overcomplicate stuff, especially coaches and players. Especially coaches like to overcomplicate it because then and certain players, because then they think like they know a bunch more than us dum-dums. But
I'm a dummy. I don't know nothing.
But let's just look at it realistically. What you just said makes a ton of sense. If you change personnel, spread things out, you can run more effectively because you're not plugging up everything in the middle. They have to worry about covering more field. They have different personnel. And we have seen across the league, there are not very many. There are some, but there are not very many defensive backs that tackle well and like to get their nose in there and play the run.
Right.
So a lot of them will just like to play, hand tag with the receiver and pretend to get blocked so they don't have to get in there and make a tackle. We have guys like that. Bunch of teams have guys like that for D-backs. So if you come out with 4 wides and they change a bunch of D-backs, great. That helps your running game. And so it's actually kind of the opposite of what you would think. If you have condensed formation, that's better to pass with, right? Because then you everything's in tight and you got more room to work to get guys open in the flat, or kind of maybe you have 2 guys. You have one guy go in the flat, and one guy go deep towards the back of the end zone, and
Right.
put the stress on one player in that flat area or that side of the field. So when the tight formations give you better opportunities for passing, and the wide formations give you better opportunities for running
In the red zone.
in the red zone. And football
Yes.
can be that simple, guys. It
Right.
really can. But these goddamn coaches, they're going to want to overthink it and whatever. You know who doesn't overthink it? Dan Campbell don't overthink it.
No,
You
he
don't
doesn't. I don't
overthink.
think he really thinks much.
He's just like, let's just do it, man.
He goes for it on 4th down all the time.
Let's go for it on 4th down.
I
My
don't
guy
like
throw
that, though.
5 picks in the game. We're still going to find a way to win.
No matter. He still goes for it on 4th down every time. You don't care.
Let's do it. We got this kicker from wherever, and he's nailing kicks, and he's got lots of hair, so he kind of puts it back. It's nice hair, nice head of hair. Give him credit, Jake Bates. But
He's
man,
my kicker in fantasy. That didn't do me any good.
kickers. Why are there so many good kickers who
A
can
lot of good
nail the
kickers.
hell out of 50-some yard field goals, and make them consistently, and the Packers couldn't find one? And now we got McManus, but I mean, come on, why can't we get a young one that can? Everybody's got young ones that can nail the hell out of the ball. I don't get it.
Because Goody doesn't know jack squat.
You don't know kickers. All right, let's go through it. Ooh,
I said that. I said that
too.
2 weeks ago, Lee. I said I want to see Malik Willis in there in the red zone.
Would Jordan Love be okay with that?
No, and
He
neither
has
will,
to be
neither will
okay
Goody.
with it. Goody has to be okay with it.
That takes away his touchdowns passes that he's going to have.
I don't care. Do we want to win, or do we want to have Jordan Love stats look good?
How many rushing touchdowns does Josh Jacobs have inside the 20-yard line this year? I want to know.
2?
I think it's like 1 or 2.
Yeah, right.
I know he's got the one really long one where he busted a tackle, broke a guy open, juked about his face, and then Christian Watson. And then it was, of course, we showed the play where it was.
Yeah.
If it was any other safety, he probably would have been tackled because Watson really didn't block him. But luckily for us, it was the great Darnell Suckage who sucked and then, pretended like he was being blocked. And then, of course, Jacobs ran for 39 yards for touchdown. But like when they get in the red zone, they're pass, or run on 1st down, get stuffed, and then pass.
Oh my God. So Josh Jacobs has a total of 3 touchdowns this year.
Okay. Well, we know one's 39-yarder.
He had 2 in the Jacksonville game. He had 1 in the Rams game and 0 in all the other games. So,
What about the receiving touchdown? He had a receiving touchdown in one of those games.
I don't
Does
know.
that
I
count
just
as
pulled
one?
up. I just pulled up the quick stats here. I don't think so. I think they're just showing rushing touchdowns. But so look at Josh Jacobs on the year. He's got 4.8 yards per carry.
And how many carries does he have?
He has 158 carries.
158 carries in 9 games.
Yeah, in 9 games.
And he only has 3 touchdowns.
Yep.
That explains it all.
It's ridiculous. And last game, he had 13 carries for 95 yards, 7.3 yard average, but only 13 carries.
And he had 90 yards at halftime.
It's
But
just
our
like-
quarterback threw a pick six and completely changed the game and
But
screwed us.
So let's talk about that for a minute because it drives me up a wall. It drives me up a wall because you hear everybody says it. The announcers say it, the coaches say it, the players say it. I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
What?
When you get down in a game by a couple of touchdowns, and they just like, well, we got down by a couple of touchdowns, so we had to abandon the run. Why? Why? If you have like a half, if you're in the second quarter, we see teams do it in the second quarter. They get down by
they didn't necessarily abandon the run, Jason. They had drop passes. They had
Josh
false
Jacobs-
starts. They had terrible freaking snaps. They had multiple of things in the third quarter that really screwed them up bad. It wasn't just the fact that they didn't run the ball. Now they didn't run the ball.
Ben, the Packers
But
have done
they
this
also-
for years.
No, I know. But what I'm
And a
telling you
bunch
is it was more than just the fact that they didn't run the ball because they were trying to pass. When you have a penalty on first down and it's 1st and 15, it really F's your freaking your thing up.
Run the ball.
If you have a snap
I don't
on
give a
second
rat's
down
ass.
that's too low and the quarterback is got no athletic ability and can't go down and catch it, though it's a freaking almost a fumble and he just falls on it for a freaking 7-yard loss, that really F's up your drive. No offense. It's kind of the way it is. This is the end of, and then didn't they have the flea flicker? Was that Packers who ran a flea flicker that would end up being nothing? I watched a game where guys run a flea flicker and it was just a disaster area.
I think it might have been the Lions did it.
It was okay. Somebody did it and it was a
Somebody
disaster.
did. I think it was the Sunday night game because I was watching it too, and I was like,
Oh,
"Why are
okay.
you guys doing all this dumb stuff?" Like,
Yeah,
just run
Maybe
the
that's what it
ball
was.
and
I just remember watching the game thinking, wow, that was the dumbest. Like, why are we doing this?
right.
But
Look, and JJ is
that's
talking
why.
about Wicks as stone hands. Look, I will say this. Fine.
I don't know what's going on with him, man.
Look, yes, he's had some drop problems, but that pass, like you have to understand as a coach and as players, it's not that easy to catch the ball in the rain, throw the ball in the rain and the wind and all that stuff as that you would like to. It's not as easy as you like to do it under good conditions. So don't put your players in that position. Do something different. Do something easier. Hand the ball off. Focus on the run. Run some jet sweeps. Do something, but don't make it so hard on your guys. You need to make it easier on your guys.
This is the thing that I'm going to say too, and I don't want to hear it from Packer fans.
And I hate drop passes. You know,
Listen, the Tucker Kraft drop, that was a drop. That hit him perfect pass right in the hands on third down. Hit him right in the hands. He freaking lost concentration, dropped the ball. That was a drop. That I call on the player, the receiver. The Wicks pass, that was called a drop. The play to the running back on the first drive, that was called a drop because it's thrown behind him. It comes down to these things. That player, the running back, whichever one it was, I can't remember if it was Wilson or if it was Chris Brooks. I don't remember. Either way, that guy's an undrafted free agent. Signee. Dontavian Wicks is a 5th-round pick in his second year. I don't want to hear it. Jordan Love is a 5th-year player making the $55 million a year. Period. I don't want to hear about Dontavian Wicks dropped the pass that was a yard and a half, or not a yard, but a foot and a half thrown behind him. That's not Dontavian Wicks, the 5th-round draft pick in his second year's fault. That's the $55 million quarterback who can't fucking throw the ball accurately because he's thrown off his back foot when he's got nobody around him and pressure at all. The running back, who's an undrafted free agent who drops the ball, who's thrown behind him a good yard and a half to 2 yards behind him, or 2.5 feet behind him, that's not on the undrafted running back. That's on the $55 million a year quarterback who can't throw the fucking ball. That's the fucking truth. No more about the drops. No more.
I remember when we talked about I think it was last time we did a show and we talked about Tucker Kraft's amazing catch. We talked about Romeo making some crazy catch on the sideline. And then I gave you a bad example, but a personal example of how it is much harder when you're going in one direction and the ball is thrown behind you and you're going full speed in the opposite direction. It is much harder to catch that ball than a ball that's out in front of you. So that Wicks drop was a really difficult ball to catch. And then you had the elements and the rain and all this stuff, like almost impossible. I know you want him to catch it, but he was put in a really bad spot, and it's really difficult to make that catch. And not many guys are going to make it. I don't care who you are, because your momentum's going the opposite direction. Your body's going the opposite direction. Your hands have to go the behind you, and you got conditions. So how about we do something a little easier or a little different?
I'm sorry
Let's
for
see.
yelling. Now they're talking about
No,
screen
it's okay.
passes.
Screen passes are fine. Look,
The Packers haven't been a good screen passing team since Mike Holmgren in the freaking 90s.
Who
They
gets
were great
Ben,
then. And
Ben.
screen passes, what do you think? What's the best thing of what makes a screen pass work, Jason?
Well, one, it is a player
No.
who can.
No.
Okay, all right.
If there's a screen pass called,
Yep.
what's the most important positions to make a screen pass actually successful?
Well, to me, it's the running back, to be honest, because
Okay,
most of the time
you're wrong.
Most of the time, you see screen passes where the linemen don't even block anybody that are successful.
That's what I'm trying to. It's the lineman. You played guard for a while. You're also a tackle, but you were also a 160-pound guard, which made no sense, but they made you do that.
I was never a tackle. Never a tackle.
You were a guard.
Guard.
You were a guard.
tight.
Did
Yeah.
you guys run screen passes when you were a guard?
Yeah.
And what's the most important key to playing a screen when you're a guard? What do you do as a guard? You played guard. Do you remember what you did?
You try to get out in space and you get on your guy. But
No. But what's the first thing you do?
well, you don't go downfield. Well, you engage with the guy and you kind of try to make him think it's a run, and then you drop
Okay.
off the way.
So here's the thing about screen
You're
passes.
saying the Packers offensive linemen are not deceptive enough?
They're not good or deceptive.
They're too
Screen
honest.
passes are successful because of offensive linemen. It has nothing to do with the quarterback. It has nothing to do with the running back. All the running back and the quarterback do is sit there and wait for something to happen. It's the offensive linemen who make a screen pass successful or not, unless you have Aaron Jones, because Aaron Jones can just do crazy shit and nobody blocks for him and he still is awesome and he gets a whole bunch of yards.
Right.
That's besides, we don't have Aaron Jones anymore. So to make a screen pass work, okay, to start off, you need to have offensive linemen who are able to sell that they're pass blocking in the first place, right? Shed the block as if make it seem like they got beat.
Like Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary.
Then-
They
Yes.
beat him so fast.
Yeah. Well, also, if you play against a dumb person, it works. But if you play against smart guys, it's a problem. Then once you move, then you move sideways. You can't move forward,
Right.
and you have a couple seconds to do it.
It's a point of emphasis by the
Okay.
league too. They're calling that guys downfield way
Right
more.
there. And then here's
Yeah.
the other part and then of course you have to try to find the guy you're supposed to block and block him and blah blah blah. But sometimes that doesn't even matter.
Right.
The
Most
other
of the time it
key
doesn't.
point
It's
the other
getting
key
in the
point to
way.
this, if the offensive lineman doesn't sell it enough or doesn't do the initial block long enough to begin with, then the pressure gets to the quarterback. So then you need a quarterback who's smart enough and or athletic enough to buy a little bit more time, which we do not have in Jordan Love. And that's part of the problem because he gets pressure in his face and then he's like, oh, crap. Then he just chucks it like a ding dong. Now, Aaron Rodgers did that a bunch too, where the play was not there. He just threw it to the ground. Jordan Love tries to throw it to the screen anyway, and it gets picked off, return for a touchdown because he's a freaking idiot. So you got offensive linemen who aren't good at screen pass blocking, number one. A quarterback who can't escape once the offensive lineman block like shit and just let the guy go immediately. Don't even get the initial fake block on the guy, which speeds up the play even further, right?
Mhm.
And then after all that happens, even if it is successful and you get to the ball to the running back or whoever it is, they'll call a screen pass for a guy who's not elusive. Screen passes work best with guys who are elusive. That would be your Emmanuel Wilson, your Reed, your Tucker Kraft. But they'll call a screen pass for Luke Musgrave They did that a
Watson.
couple times. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen. Christian Watson, who has zero agility and doesn't have a speed burst, he takes him a long time to get started. They'll call a screen pass for A.J. Dillon, and then nothing happens when he was on the team at that point. Instead of Aaron Jones, who's agility and quick and able to move and set up blocks. That's the other thing. Sometimes offensive linemen don't even get a block, but the running back can set up the guy going this way. Then the they can set up just using that guy who doesn't block anybody to just get in the way, juke, and then back and then around. Go.
Sometimes that's all you need. Just running around, taking up space, and kind of getting and being a moving object.
That's why
is enough. If you have a shifty player who can start and stop quickly, and also has vision, and those are the guys you're talking about. We talked about it for years when Rodgers was here. They'd run that crap to like Robert Tonyan, and you're like, what are we doing? No.
Yeah. So I actually I don't know as a fan if people realize I think a screen pass is actually a very difficult play to run. It's one of the few plays I think where you have to have multiple players be 100% successful on the play. Like you can't have anybody screw up at all. Like you got to have the initial fake block. You have to get off the block. You have to have the quarterback be able to, have enough time to get the pass off. Then the running back catch it. Then the offensive lineman in front of him actually go and block somebody. And then that running back actually makes some moves and gets somewhere. It's hard to do, especially when you have a bunch of guys who aren't good at things that we want them to do. And we don't have the players to run screen passes.
Well,
so we should not call screen passes. We're not good at them. We have not been as good at screens in years.
It's easy to do. It's easy to have a success against a team that has overconfident players on
aggressive
the line.
Yeah, aggressive pass rusher like a Jadarius Smith type.
Right.
Guy.
Aggressive, unaware, and overconfident. That's the perfect recipe. Oh, you run screens on those guys all day because they think, oh my God, beat my guy. I'm going to the quarterback.
And that's why, like Packer fans see it. Like they ran the one against us a couple of weeks back, right? Against the Jaguars, where we showed Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark run into each other on the screen pass. Yeah. Because they're freaking idiots. So if you watch the film and you see that the opposing team has a pass rusher who just all he wants to do is rush quarterback and get sacks because that's where the money is, doesn't want to play the run. Okay, genius. Call the screen pass. But you have to scout your opponent, understand what their crappy players, their dumb players are doing, and utilize that against them. And then it'll work against dumb teams or bad teams, but it won't work against good teams.
This is the NFL.
And that's the problem.
This is the NFL. And I'm going to tell you this.
There's a lot of dumb guys in the NFL.
In high school, when I played, that's the only time I could play, middle school and high school. Our D-line coach told us, and defense coordinator, he was the coordinator and the D-line coach. And he told us, if you don't get blocked or people aren't hitting you or you get past the guy really quick, something's up.
Yeah.
Something's up. Get your head on a swivel, look around and see what's going on. It's probably a screen or a swing pass or something, right? Because there's no way they're letting you go untouched unless they're trying to pull something on you. So don't be
a blind or a running play that's got like a blind crack block on you, like a guy's gonna come from the side and smack the piss out of you.
Right, a trap play where you're gonna be the trap guy and you get nailed.
Yep.
And I took that to heart, and I was all over that stuff. Now
you're talking as a defensive tackle now, because
defensive end.
Defensive end, right? Because you played guard, you played tight end, and you played defensive end in high school.
But I mean, that's in high school. So this is
I know
the NFL. Like, what the fuck?
It's still the same.
No, I know, but I'm just
player
saying.
Plays football. Football's football, no matter what it is. Like
I know,
if you beat the guy in front of you in 1 millisecond, there's something. There's a reason.
Yes, you should be instantly like slowing down and looking around and being like, "What's going on? Something's up here. It's a screen. It's a trap. It's a reverse. Something's up." Because I can't beat a guy. I'm not that good that I beat a guy so quickly. Something's going on.
See, and one more thing, like JJ saying that the screen pass takes pressure off the quarterback and the running game, possibly, but it's also a dead play if it doesn't work perfectly. That's the other
Yeah.
thing. You have one option on that play. There's usually one option, and it's the screen pass to the running back. So if you have one guy who doesn't do his job properly out of those 5 offensive linemen, quarterback and running backs, so those 7 players, if one guy screws it up somehow, the play's dead. And so it's going to be a no gain play. Like screens are a very hit or miss type thing. Okay.
Mhm.
And a lot of teams run them on 3rd and long because there's usually the defenders are playing way off and they only have maybe 4 guys rushing the quarterback. It's obviously a passing down. The pass rushers got their brain on running the quarterback. So that's why screen passes work always great on 3rd down and long. But sometimes those 3rd and long screen passes, we've watched Matt LaFleur call them all the time, especially when they're backed up on their own 20, when it's like 3rd and freaking 10 or 3rd and 15 or whatever it is. He calls a screen pass and then it gets 12 yards and then we punt, right? It's only successful at that point because the defense is playing off so far. They're letting everything happen in front of them. They watch the screen happen, and then the secondary goes up and tackles the guy. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't want to get all whatever. I like screen passes. Don't get me wrong.
I think they can be very effective.
I mean, we watched
and-
Elvin Kamara school us remember that one where,
Yeah.
he took it freaking 65 yards, broke 17 tackles, juked 25 guys. It was ridiculous how pathetic we looked on that play.
Yeah.
And we've also seen Aaron Jones take them and go. We've seen, like somebody's talking about Edgar Bennett in the 90s. Edgar Bennett, not a fast guy, right? If I was choosing top 20 running backs in Packer history, I don't know if I'd put Edgar Bennett even in the top 20 running backs in Packer history. But he was very smart. He could read blocks in front of him. And the screen was perfect for him because he didn't have to be fast. He just had to let guys get blocks in front of him, and he had a lot of good offensive linemen back in those days with Aaron Taylor, Adam Timmerman, those type of guys, Frankie Bag of Donuts. Those interior guys were in front of him, blocking well. He just read off the hip, boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. And you don't have to be a speedster. You don't have to be strong or fast.
Most
You
of
have
the
to
time
be smart, a little bit quick, able to read blocks, and you can get 10, 15 yards on a screen pass. And that's why the Mike Holmgren teams were so good at it. They had really good offensive linemen. Favre was great at buying enough time. He never threw the ball like shit. That's the other thing. A lot of people compare Jordan Love to Brett Favre. Brett Favre was accurate, way more accurate than Jordan Love.
Well,
His interceptions, yeah. If you show a highlight tape of Brett Favre's interceptions, you're not going to see a 2-yard freaking loser throw to the freaking, whatever that returns touchdown. You're going to see a laser beam into like triple coverage like a dumbass. You're going to see that 30 yards downfield. You might see that, but you're not going to see some pathetic. You're going to see him. What Favre would have done was run around like a crazy guy, 5 times and then maybe run for some more yards and whatever.
Or maybe take a 30-yard sack. You never know.
He didn't really get sacked. I don't think he got sacked all that much. I think
he took no, but when he did, a lot of times it was
it was a deep
because he was like a 20, 30-yard sack. You're like, oh my God, what the hell?
But anyways, yeah. So I don't know. I like screen passes. I just don't think this team's roster.
I think they can do it though.
I don't.
Jacobs seems like he doesn't have to be fast, but he can start and stop a little bit, and that's enough. And like you pointed out, the linemen don't need to be great at blocking on screens. Literally just kind of get in the way. Like run out in front, be a big fat dude.
I'm telling you.
And that's good enough.
It's the initial fake block, which I think is the issue.
True.
They don't do it at all. They don't even like get in the way for a second. And it's also Jordan Love has zero ability to escape or get away if there's a little bit of a guy in his face.
And he gets panicked when he gets rushed, right?
And then his screen pass throw is off, and then the running back's catching it way over back like this. Yep. Then after he catches it down here, he has to collect himself and then look, and by the time he does all of that, the offensive lineman missed the block in front of him. Here comes the guy screaming at his face, and the screen pass is dead for a fucking 3-yard loss.
Yeah,
sorry,
especially if it's a linebacker. Yeah,
it happens all the time.
Look at this.
It's Jordan Love who's not good at it. It's the offensive line who's not great at it. Sorry.
It's true. That's true. JJ said he played safety in high school, and I said, was that at Chi High? And he said, yes, sir. Chi High Cardinals, Chippewa Falls.
Oh, Chippewa
Nice,
Falls.
JJ.
Yeah. That's right.
We know Chippewa Falls. We know the Chi-Hi Cardinals, JJ. We've been there.
I don't think we called any of their games though.
No,
Back in the day,
didn't.
we always called the little.
They had their
rinky-dink,
own station. Chippewa Falls had their own station.
I know.
Yeah, they
We
did
were
all the Chi-Hi games. Actually, the funny side note, the very first, when I was first starting to look at trying to get into radio announcing for sports, I literally this is how old I am, and this is the difference of the day. I got out a phone book, which you probably guys, some of you don't even know what the hell that is. They used to take all the phone numbers for all the businesses and all this stuff. It wasn't online. They put it in a book, and they gave it to you all the time. Like every year, you got a new book with the updated numbers and all this stuff. I took out the phone book and I looked for radio stations, and I started calling the radio stations in the phone book. And the Chippewa Falls one was ahead of the Eau Claire one that I ended up working for. And so I called the Chippewa Falls station first to say, hey, I'm a new grad. I have a focus on sports. I'd really like to get into, calling football and basketball games and all this sort of stuff. And the Chippewa Falls station was like, yeah, we got our team. We're good. We don't need anybody else. Sorry. Thanks for calling. And that was it. So literally I tried, JJ. I tried to call your games, but they were like, nah, we got our guys. We're good. And then I tried the Eau Claire station. The guy was like, how much experience do you have? I'm like, pretty much none. I did this one game, and when I was in college, that's it. And so then he waited until, he got to see me on TV a couple times filling in sports anchoring, and then that's what got him to give me a shot. But I tried Chi-Hi, man, and they wouldn't let me do it. Just a funny little coincidental thing. Wogo radio station. Wogo. I think back then it was WCFW. Was that right? WCFW. I don't remember. Anyway. Sorry, that means nothing to most people, but JJ knows what's up. And JJ has been throwing the comments like left and right. All right. Screen passes. We talked enough about that, but I do think they can be a weapon if done correctly, and the Packers aren't great at them. They haven't been great at them for a long time, but part of the issue is definitely giving the right player the opportunity to catch and run the screen. Christian Watson, no. It's got to be Romeo Dobbs, no. Jaden Reed, yes. Dontavian Wicks, sure. Tucker Kraft, yes. Luke Musgrave, hell no.
No way in hell.
Like, come on.
Any of the running backs right now, I think, could do it. Chris Brooks, Frickin' Wilson.
The right guys. You got to have guys that can get up to speed fast and can make cuts and read the openings, read the defense.
How do we feel about the Tucker Kraft tight end QB sneak? I kind of like that play.
I like it.
Other teams are copying it now.
They're doing it because it's smart. Take a guy who's actually stronger and good at running the ball than your quarterback. Yeah. Do it.
Yeah, it's good.
I like it.
I would kind of like to see some Tucker Kraft runs too. Like, out of the backfield, run.
Ooh. How about this? Malik Willis, a quarterback, Tucker Kraft, his back off to his right or left side with like a RPO or option play, stressing the defense. Yeah, I like it.
And then Malik Willis goes out in a fly pattern.
I just like Malik Willis. I like the fact that he can threaten the defense as a run. And so when you bring up the idea of him in a red zone package,
I know
if we're trying to win games, let's win games.
It's coming down to
stress the other team.
At this, like I said, we spent 45 minutes talking about the passing game here, but it's obvious to be the Packers are more concerned with trying to make Jordan Love the $55 million quarterback face of the franchise instead of winning games.
Right.
And we already been through this bullshit for 30 years with Favre and Rodgers holding the team hostage and all this bullshit. We don't need to make Jordan Love into something he isn't. Last season, we fell in love with Jordan Love. We were excited about Jordan Love because he was one of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't force things with him. When Aaron Jones came back, especially, they used Aaron Jones. He helped make everything easier for Love. Yep. They played great together. They just wanted to win games.
He had the highest quarterback rating in play action in the league. And why? Because that
Yeah.
was what they did. They're like, we're using Aaron Jones. People are worried about that. It opens up space. Guys don't have to worry about, it doesn't have to be perfectly thrown balls. Doesn't have to be like, beat your guy all the time. Guys get open. There's big openings. Love puts the ball in the neighborhood. They make
So
catches. We're successful.
let's get it back
Great.
to that. Let's stop trying to make a guy into something he's not yet. Like he
Yeah.
might eventually become that superstar, but he's not. Let's just win the damn games. All right. So how about we talk
like
about
it.
the Preston Smith trade, which we haven't talked about because
The Smiths, but they both got traded the same year.
Yeah, yeah.
The same week. I mean, same week, same year.
It's whatever. We don't care about Zadarius, but
My question to you is, which Smith will have a bigger impact?
well, considering that Hightower went down and got hurt in the Steelers game, it might be Preston because
we know that Zadarius wins the PR battle because he was at the Pistons game and he was everybody loves Zadarius.
I gotta ask you, did you see? I watched. Did you watch? I watched the Lions game.
He's a very likable guy in the press,
but
not on the field.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a team with one loss right now, right? You're the Lions. Okay,
I'm the Lions.
You have just traded for a guy who is a pass rush specialist. That's what he's known as. He was traded. He's been there for a couple days, but he's not ready to play. He says he is not going to play for you this week, even though you're playing Sunday Night Football. So you have plenty of time to be ready to play. And you really only have to go out there maybe 10 plays a game in obvious passing down situations and rush the quarterback. I don't know. Like, he's like, oh, I don't know the defense. Like, really? You just rushed the quarterback. Remember when Bill Cowher went to freaking Greg Lloyd and just said, just rush the passer? There's that clip from NFL Films. It's great. That's all. Zadarius is not a smart guy. We know that. We watched him with the Packers. He has a one-track mind. Rush the quarterback. If all you do is dress and play 10 downs a game on third down and rush the quarterback, I don't know why you can't dress. But here's the thing I thought was very odd and rubbed me the wrong way if I was a Lion on that team.
He got his haircut too.
He did his haircut. I don't really care about that.
Okay.
But there's multiple shots of him in street clothes, like coaching up the guys.
Coaching them up.
So he's been there for 4 days.
Coaching them
up. Claims he can't play because he doesn't know the defense yet. Yet he's there coaching up the D-line. I'm telling you, it's going to wear thin real quick, the Zadarius with the Lions, if he doesn't produce.
You think so? He has such a good first impression, though.
He will have his first 2 weeks or so.
He'll make a couple plays, and they'll be like, there it is.
It just rubbed me the wrong way. Now, I'm not a Zadarius fan, so that's probably why.
Well, because we saw him get blocked by Robert Woods.
By Robert Woods, yes. It was really pathetic. Well, he didn't get blocked. He just didn't try.
Right.
He let Robert Woods beat his ass on a play and where the running back ran for 20 yards, and he just kind of stood there, and the running back ran like 2 inches from him, and he pretended like he was being blocked by a wide receiver. Now, that's effing pathetic. I've already said fuck 17 times already this show. I might as well keep going. But anyways.
Oh, Eckes plays it for his kids at school.
Well, too bad. I guess you're going to have to
bleep
it out. Anyways, and when it comes to Preston, apparently he wanted to be traded.
Preston's a good dude.
Here's an issue I have.
Let me finish with Zadarius before you go on.
Okay, go ahead with Zadarius.
All right, Zadarius is this. He's a charming dude initially off the field. On the field, he's annoying because he knows if he makes one splash play a game that everybody think he's great.
And that's all he cares about is that one play. He can
slack off the rest of the game. It doesn't matter. And here's with him coming in and like this whole big thing, like he had a Smith jersey, a Pistons jersey, and like all this shit. I'm like, come on. You are not the savior of this team, dude. Like, not even close. You're a guy that maybe could help them with a pass rush once in a while, but we'll see. They have interior guys that are way better than him, right? Like that that big dude, I can't remember his name, but 54. He's like a juggernaut kind of tough guy in there. I like him. Anyway, Zadarius is not the savior, acting like the savior. It's freaking annoying. But I mean, the dude went to the Vikings, got bounced out of there, went to Cleveland, got bounced out of there. nobody wants him. Everybody sees through his act pretty quick, and it gets old. And then you're left with a guy who plays like a couple of plays hard, a couple of plays a game, and then the rest of the game he doesn't give a rip. And he doesn't really care if you win or lose. He is not a team guy. He is not a guy that's about winning or losing. He's a guy about, can I make a splash play in this game? And if I can, does that get me more money and get me a Pro Bowl and give you recognition? That's who Zadarius Smith is. And that's not the guy you want on your team. So I'm going to make this statement. The Lions, even though they just played a game where they played like garbage and the quarterback threw 5 picks and they shouldn't have had any business of being in the game and found a way to win it, the Lions have sealed their fate. They will not win the Super Bowl this year because they traded for Zadarius Smith.
Okay.
Let that sink in. It's going to happen. Just like the Packers will not win the Super Bowl this year because Jair's back.
Okay. We're not talking about Jair. I know you hate
Kenny
Jair.
Clark is back.
Okay. Kenny Clark sucks. We all know that. Jair
So
sucks
does
too.
Jair. That was part of the good news.
Okay.
Jair's back.
We're not,
Good
not yet.
news.
We're still on D line. Okay. So now we're going to move. We're going to move to the Packers.
Preston Smith.
Preston Smith is traded to the Steelers. He requested a trade because the system doesn't help him. Now, let me ask you a question.
He doesn't get to drop back enough.
Oh, he dropped back plenty, and we watched it be fucking pathetic.
I think that was it. I think that was his argument.
No.
I don't get to do pass coverage. CB1 enough.
No. Apparently, Kenny Clark talked to some reporter on Monday and said, because they asked him, Kenny Clark, you have no sacks so far this year in 9 games. Now, that's not a surprise to me, but apparently to this reporter, it's a surprise. And they asked him what the issue is. And Kenny Clark said, well, I didn't forget how to rush the quarterback. It's blah, blah. And he's like, it's the new system getting into the new system.
Oh, or is it, I haven't played Kirk Cousins yet and some of these other guys.
Right. Now listen. Preston Smith wants a trade because of the system. Kenny Clark says he's slow because of the system. Reporters are saying that Rashawn Gary is not quite getting there because it's the new system. They're not ready for the new system. All I know is this. Last year, the Packers played nickel defense probably 65 to 70% of the time, either nickel or multiple D-backs. And even when they didn't, they played 3 linebackers a lot of the time. I think they only played actual true 3-4 defense with 3 down linemen and 2 outside linebacker pass rusher types, maybe 10% of the time. Maybe at the most. So you're talking 90% of the time they played a 4-man front. And we talked about it in the offseason. Everybody's like, Jeff Hafley's going to play a 4-3. Oh my God, Jeff Hafley's going to play a 4-3. And we're like, they've been playing a fucking 4-3 for the last 2 fucking years, you dumb shits. They very seldom play a 3-4. The only time they did was when they played a good running team and they were like, we better play freaking, we got to play TJ Slayton at the nose because Kenny Clark can't handle it. So they had to play TJ Slayton at the nose and he dominated. So here's the problem. It's not the new system, everybody. They ran a 4-down lineman system almost 80% of the time, if not more, last year and the year before. Preston Smith's old and slow. No offense. Rashawn Gary has no moves. And he runs upright, and he's not very fast. He doesn't get below the pads of the offense. He always runs upright like this. It's very weird looking. Whenever he's trailing, he never catches up. He's got no pursuit speed at all. Kenny Clark is playing actually worse than ever because he does sometimes get to the backfield and then do nothing. What? He is actually beating his guy sometimes, and the offensive lineman just lets him go because it's a running play right up the gut to where Kenny Clark was, and Kenny Clark is just way the hell out of the play. Instead of staying there, you're not fast. You're not going to beat that guy and get to the quarterback, Kenny Clark. It's never going to happen. You need to hold the guy up and then shed the block. That's what you're good. You're strong and stout. You're not quick and fast. If you got by a guy, it's because it's a running play going right at the place you used to be, and that's why they let you go. And how many times have we watched Kenny Clark get to the backfield and the running back go crazy right past in the spot that he was at for a good big 7-8 yard gain? It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's not the new system. Kenny Clark's blaming the new system. Preston Smith wanted out because of the new system. Plus, I swear to God that when the Packers signed Preston and Zadarius, they were both coming from Washington and freaking Baltimore, and both of them ran a 4-3 at the time. Preston was a defensive end, a 4-3 defensive end at Washington when the Packers signed him to play outside linebacker, and that was a question we were asking, what are we doing here? Why is he? And then Goody was like, I like my 265-pound outside linebackers. And I'm like, really? Because I can remember us having Clay Matthews, who was 245 pounds and faster than lightning and got in the backfield. And we had a guy named Frank Zombo, who was 235 pounds. He was really fast. And we had a guy named Eric Walden, who was like 235 pounds, who was fast and got in the backfield. We had Kabir Baha-Bilamila, who was actually playing defensive end at the time, not outside linebacker, but he was like a $140 soaking wet, who got in the backfield really fast. Not a big, fat, slow guy, not fat, but big, slow guy who doesn't freaking play the run, not fast enough to get to the quarterback, doesn't have enough moves, not smart enough to play the run. Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, the only thing Preston was good at was playing the run. He at least was smart and actually a veteran who was good. And that's going to cost us.
Yeah.
Because now we're going to have young guys in there. I mean, unless hopefully Van Ness can figure something out and start getting some pass rush going.
He looks good in the weight room.
He looks like a monster, but it doesn't help him on the field. And then, Igbare is he's got all the pass rush moves, but he's not so great against the run.
Yeah.
And who knows about Brenton Cox and Mosby? I don't know anything about those two guys. I know Mosby used to play safety in college. So you took a guy who played safety in college, now he's playing defensive end in a 4-3? What I'm saying is this. Kenny Clark is full of shit. Preston Smith is full of shit. The Packers are full of shit. None of these guys had an issue with the new fucking defense. They all suck. Period. None of them can play. And they're all making tons of money, and they don't fucking deserve it. Give me Carl Brooks at defensive end. Carl Brooks at defensive end would play 1,000 and put in freaking Wooden. Make that your defensive ends. Put freaking Devontae Wyatt and TJ Slayton. That's your 4-down lineman. When the Packers had Reggie and Santana and Gilbert and Sean Jones or Gabe Wilkins after Sean Jones retired, they had 4 guys who knew how to rush the passer, who knew how to get off blocks. You had Gilbert who'd soak up 2 guys, real smart like that. Santana was a penetrator, but he also could hold up against the run. Reggie was a monster. Now, teams were slower then. The quarterbacks were much slower and pretty much dead. I mean, Reggie had 3 sacks against Drew Bledsoe standing still in the Super Bowl. It was awesome, but I mean, Drew Bledsoe sucked. That's not the way of the NFL anymore, right? We need guys who are fast and quick. Johnny Jolly was great, right? Look at Mike Pennell with the Chiefs right now, who's dominating on the defensive line. Now, he had his issues with DUI or drugs and stuff. I don't know what all his issues were.
Johnny Jolly, too. Johnny Jolly was a monster. But he was quick and fast and a good player.
What the key thing is this, and then when the Packers, and this is a 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
So the key to the 4-3, as we know, is your D tackles need to be either penetrators and fast as hell, which we only have one guy like that, Devontae Wyatt.
Yeah.
Or Carl Brooks, he's a good pass rusher. He's not fast. He's just a good pass rusher.
Right.
But more importantly, if you could play 2 guys there who are stout and tough, that's actually more beneficial because it can keep your linebackers free. And with Edgerrin Cooper back there running around like a crazy man, he can make some plays. And you got McDuffie, who's smart. Eric Wilson, who's smart. I think Quay Walker needs to sit. I think he's proven he doesn't have it. Damn. But when I just hear that Kenny Clark is blaming the new scheme and that he's not ready, I mean, how long have you guys had with the scheme? You had all offseason. You had all preseason. This is your freaking 10th game of the year. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, and not only that, they played a 4-3 last year, everybody. They actually played a 4-2-5. They played nickel defense most of the time because Joe Barry always wanted to be in nickel defense. They played 4-down linemen all year.
Right.
So I don't want to hear that it's a scheme and that's why they played like shit. They played like shit because they suck. Period. Just like Jair sucks, Kenny Clark sucks, Gary sucks. All these guys suck, and they got to pick it up because they're paid like they're stars. All of our stars are terrible. The only one who's even halfway decent, the guy who's making money, is Jenkins, and he had 3 bad snaps because he played out of position last game. But name another high-priced guy who's actually good. Xavier McKinney, okay, he's got a lot of picks. What else does he do?
Josh Jacobs is doing pretty good for the money.
Josh Jacobs is okay. But everybody's talking about Xavier McKinney for like defensive player of the year. I'm like, all he has is 6 picks.
It's just because he had all those picks right away.
But what else has he done, though? He doesn't tackle well.
Joseph
he
is
seems to be out of position quite a bit.
Yeah, Joseph has matched him in picks already, and that kid's gonna.
I don't know
more than him.
So that's just my opinions on the whole out of position or new defense can't quite figure it out.
Right.
Kenny Clark,
Hold on.
Sean Gary,
Yeah.
Preston Smith wants to trade because he's not the right system for him, even though he played 4 years at Washington at defensive end before he came to the Packers, played outside linebacker. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. I'm really swearing a lot tonight. It's because I'm really mad. I'm mad at the stupidity of the of the reporters. I'm mad at the stupidity of the fans.
How about this?
It's dumb.
Bragging up Kenny Clark. Everybody brags him up in the broadcast team. He's so good. All pro. He's so good. Kenny Clark. All right. Some hot, quick takes here. Number one.
A lot of hot takes.
Zadarius Smith has a really long torso, short legs, and short arms. That holds him back
for a pass rusher.
It holds him back from being a really good pass rusher. Preston Smith, the opposite. Well, sort of the opposite. Long arms, long torso, but he's a little bit better pass rusher because he got long arms and stuff. And he made a play this last week on a reverse because he had long arms. He tackled the guy for like a 17.
And because he wasn't fast enough to pursue on the play.
Right.
So he was in the right position on the reverse because he didn't even try to go after the running back because he's too slow. So he doesn't even try.
But we all know
for the reverse. Yep.
We all know that Preston wanted to trade because he didn't get to drop enough in coverage. He knows that's his true calling.
Because his contract is not making much money unless he gets his sacks. It's part of it, an incentive in his contract, and he's not getting the sacks. And his playing went down. So he was like, I want out. I want to go to a place where I can get some sacks so that I can make more money on my contract. That's the truth.
Or if he gets a pick or passes defended, that's what he wants. He wants those long arms to be in the passing game.
JJ, don't even start.
And you're
absolutely
oh my god!
Right. What did you listen to what I just said, JJ?
He's a true 3-4 guy. The Packers played a ton of 4-man fronts last year.
Tell me you're sarcastic, JJ.
It's ridiculous. Kenny Clark, look, the reason you don't have any sacks is because you played a lot of mobile quarterbacks that you can't catch and you're too slow. And you didn't have Kirk Cousins hurt his Achilles and fall down a turtle in front of you. And like some of these other guys literally run into you to give you sacks.
I think the only quarterback that Kenny Clark can get a sack on is
Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers.
No, I think those guys get away from him.
What?
I think it's Jordan Love. That's the crazy, ironic twist of the Kenny Clark. He's on the one team of the quarterback he could actually sack, so he'll never get another sack for the rest of his career. Man, between you hating Jair and me hating Kenny Clark, we got some issues.
Dude, just look at where the Packers spend a bunch of their money in salary cap. And what kind of production are they getting for those dollars spent? It is ridiculous. I will admit, I don't know. I don't look at other teams as closely. I don't know if other teams have the same problem. But the amount of money spent on very little production is insane to me. How the hell do you win? How are you a winning football team when you have guys that you pay a crap load of money to that don't do anything? I don't get it. I don't know how it works. Somebody explain it. I
was watching the Steelers game Sunday, and Keanu Benton had one of the craziest plays.
He's a freaking awesome dude.
He destroyed a double team, and then and then the running back was coming up the middle, and he freaking grabbed him with one arm and just freaking threw him to the ground. I was like, I've never seen Kenny Clark do anything like that ever. And this rookie from Wisconsin did it one time. Now I don't know where
draft Badgers, man. They don't.
I know. I don't know where he is actually from. He's probably not from Wisconsin originally, but he played for the Badgers, and he was awesome in that game I watched. And
he's been good for them.
And Leo Chanel with the Chiefs gets the game-winning field goal block. I mean, there's so many good Badgers that the Packers could have easily taken on defense. And we have guys like Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark and Jair Alexander and all these guys who freaking suck balls when we could have good players. Would you rather have Leo Chanel or freaking Quay Walker?
Chanel.
No, I don't. I think Leo Chanel came out last year, and Quay Walker came out the year before. But still, I mean,
They might have been the same draft class.
were they the same draft? I don't remember.
Leo Chanel was, because he's been around a couple of years. He is he was a 3rd round pick. So the Packers had plenty of chances at him. It's all the things, right?
Yeah, Zach Bond on the Eagles. Yeah.
The Packers don't like, I don't understand so what this Jordan Love situation is explaining to us is that the Packers they're not concerned about winning games as much as they are concerned about trying to promote their stars and promote their franchise in the best light. They all know what they're doing, and they're placating to the fans. You should be excited about these guys that we've anointed as the guys to be our team leaders, right? Well, when you look at any hometown or home state fan base, if you have the opportunity to get a player from your home state, like, what do you think that does for business? Like, if we're looking at this as a business, and for the fan base, excitement by the fan base, buy-in from the fan base, really dialed in, are they excited about a dude from Florida or a dude from Wisconsin, or a dude from Alabama or a dude from Wisconsin? Dude, what are you doing? We have so many players, and then guess what? All those players have been productive in the NFL. A bunch of them, right? Zach Bond, TJ Watt, the worst, Keanu Benton. We've got so many linebackers, Van Ginkel. Like, dudes you could have had, right? Dudes you could have had.
He was a free agent. He could have came here.
And
plus, we have his linebacker. Wasn't Van Ginkel with the Dolphins last year?
Yeah.
We have his linebacker coach from last year.
Yeah. Yeah, Van Ginkel.
But instead, we drafted 2 guys.
Yeah.
Instead of signing a proven guy who looks awesome at the Vikings right now. Now, maybe he wouldn't be as good with us because he's got, what's his face? Brian Flores over there making him do crazy shit. So maybe he wouldn't be as crazy with us. But
it goes back to, like,
if we would have signed, think about this. If we would have signed Van Ginkel, then we could have used the 2nd round pick to draft, or we could have traded up or whatever. We could have got one of those 2 corners that the Eagles got, the 2 best corners in the draft. Well, we should have taken one of them instead of Morgan at freaking offensive line.
And there's a history to this, right?
I don't know.
It goes back maybe beyond this, but one of the more egregious ones was Troy Vincent, right? We passed on Troy Vincent. We take Terrell Buckley.
Yeah.
Why?
Dude, that was Ron Wolf. He was an idiot sometimes.
I know, but this is
Ron Wolf's drafts were terrible.
Where does this stem
signings
from?
Were good.
Where does this anti-Badger sentiment stem from, and why? And the Bucks do it too.
They took Mark Telscher
a handful of years ago. Yeah, but late. We don't invest like high picks in the good Badgers that other teams get. Like, it's just dumb. Like, and Quinn Miner's another example. A Wisconsin dude who the fan base would be like jacked about.
He'd be the perfect Packer.
Like, it would just be jacked about having these Wisconsin homemade guys from.
Could you imagine if we had Quinn Miners and Sean Ryan as their 2 guards? We'd be running the ball all over everybody.
Run the hell out of it. Jim Leonard, great player. No, we overlooked him. We overlook everybody. The Packers do it.
That's right.
The Bucks do it. Look, the Bucks could have had an opportunity. They should have drafted Sam Decker the year. They just didn't do it. They're like, nah.
Yeah, well, they could have used a wing player who could shoot threes and tall and get rebounds.
But I'm just saying, I don't get where this comes from. But if you're looking, the Packers clearly are more concerned about the business side than winning football games.
At this point, yes.
And that's like, how does that not strike you right in the face?
It's almost like, have you ever seen the movie Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, it's one of my favorite movies. I really love it. Kevin Kline is super awesome in it, and he plays the president, and then the president has a heart attack, and then they have some guy who looks like the president who they get him to become and pretend to be the president, and all this stuff, and then eventually, he just starts off as just some bumbling ding dong, but then he figures out, hey, I could maybe do some good here. And then he tries to do some good, and one of the scenes, they're trying to save money on the budget so that they can save this homeless shelter. So they're trying to cut costs other places, and one of the things is somebody's like, so we have this bill. Or we have this advertising campaign that we're putting money into, where the advertisement is to make people feel better about the car they already purchased. He's like, so we're spending, a couple $1 million for advertising to make somebody feel good about the car they already bought. And they're like, yeah. And it's stupid. He's like, that's dumb. That's dumb. We're getting rid of that. Right? It's the same type of thing. They're trying to make the Packer fans feel good about the quarterback we already paid the big money for. We already did it. We can't go back and change it. We can't try to force something into something else, right? It's the same type of thing. Just win the games.
Yeah.
Don't try to make us believe that this is something and Rashawn Gary is something. Well, Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark, they're just having a rough year because of the defensive change. No, that's not the reason. They suck. Figure out a new way. Play the better players. Get Cara Brooks out there. Get freaking, anybody but those two guys. Maybe. I don't know. And I like them as guys, but they can't play football right now. I don't know what's going on with those two.
Yeah.
But it's the same type of thing. They keep pushing, and the reporters keep pushing, saying, like, they're trying to make the Packer fans feel good by telling them this first-round pick that we took is really good. Other teams don't do that. You know that in New York right now, we're going to talk about the Jets, I think, now. They're calling Sauce Gardner Soft Gardner. They've changed his name.
They're on him, man.
They went from Sauce Gardner, then they started calling him by his real first name, whatever it is, and then now they're calling him Soft Gardner because he plays the run like Jair Alexander.
Ooh.
They've turned on him that fast. The reporters for the freaking Jets are not trying to make the fans still love their first-round pick in his third year because he's so good. No, they're calling it out. Have you ever heard a Packer beat guy or a Packer or one of the bigger Packer guys go out and call out a Packer for sucking? Never. Now they have to go and talk to him in the later on into the press conferences and stuff, and they want to get him pissed at him, get smacked in the face. I don't know, but I don't have to worry about that. No one's going to smack me. Well, maybe they will. I mean, they'll come and smack me. I don't know. I would. The way I'm talking today, holy crap! Kenny Clark's come smack me upside the head. Rashawn Gary, and all these guys, they probably kill me. I'm 50 and I'm old, but whatever. What I'm saying is, that's the bad part. And the Jets are falling apart, and the fans are like, they ain't freaking holding anything back. They're saying everybody sucks. They're blaming all the first round picks, all the big name guys. What? Devontae Adams dropping balls in the end zone.
Six receptions for 31 yards last week on 13 targets.
See, now we strategically did not do a show last week because the Jets won, and I didn't want to say positive things. Luckily, we lost this week, so now we do this show, and the Jets are back on the crapper again, and they're 3-7, and it's beautiful. And I'm so excited to also rip the crap out of Rodgers and all these guys.
Did you happen to hear? So I didn't watch a lot of the post game analysis, but here's some interesting things or comments. Here's some interesting things that have come up from the Jets. We're doing Jets time now, Higgity. If you want to,
see you later, Higgity. We're probably done for the pack. Well, we'll at the end. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Bear game and stuff like that.
But what's really funny is so here's all the things Aaron Rodgers is trying to spin right now. Right, he's trying to spin. Ultimately, he's trying to find someone else to blame. And find someone or something else to blame because the heat's coming down. And so he has, do you recall, he's setting the table that owners and people need to have more patience, believe in the process, not get rid of people so fast and all this sort of stuff. But do you also recall that immediately after Robert Saleh was fired, he's like, oh, I'm 100% behind Brick. Brick is my guy. Brick is going to be great. Blah, 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 blah. He said all that stuff too. On top of, so basically setting it up like it's the owner's fault because he fired the head coach. It's not my fault. How can I make this work when you get rid of the head coach so early? That's kind of where he's probably going to go with his excuses. But he also has, He's just grabbing at any straw he can to again find someone else to blame. That's what he does. But one thing I found super funny was after the game, someone asked him because there there was a specific play where Devontae ran a certain way, he threw the ball in a different way, and it was way off target. And they're like, so the reporters, to their credit, asked him, did you was that, what happened there? Was that like you threw the ball bad, or Devontae didn't do it right, or
Yeah, Mike Williams was running around route and he ripped the shit out of him.
And he paused. He took a long time to think about what he was going to say there, and he was very careful not to criticize Devontae.
Well, Devontae is the most dominant player that he's ever seen.
That's one of his guys.
Yeah.
But everybody else will criticize the hell out of you. But Devontae, well, it was just really funny because usually Rodgers quick to just throw anybody under the bus. But in this case, no, Devontae, I couldn't do that.
Well, maybe he has one friend.
When you had a dude that had 13 targets, 6 catches for 31 yards, and you're not going to throw him under the bus? Woo! Okay, Aaron Rodgers. And you lose a game 31-6 to not even a good team? Okay. Well, whatever.
Jets are falling apart, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch. I love it so much.
I feel bad for the brick guy.
Here's the sad part, though. They're still not out of it. They still mathematically could make the playoffs and all this other bullcrap, which... So until that happens, it's the same thing as when he came out of the darkness and he said he was going to want us to go to the Jets, and we were all like, and I was like, I will not believe it until he's traded. I will not, because I've seen Rodgers do crazy stuff, and he has the talent. I have no doubt Rodgers could still make things happen out of nowhere, and the Jets have enough talent on the team to maybe pull some crap out of their butts, because the teams they play it's not too bad.
Weak schedule.
So we could see it happen. So I'm not going to be like I have respect for Rodgers as a player sometimes. Not for his decisions, but for his skill. Let's put it that way. But as a person, he's an asshole and a douchebag.
But what about what it does to the team culture?
Right.
He is the destroyer of team culture.
When a team watches the guy rip the piss out of Mike Williams for running the wrong route, though he actually didn't. Heads up, just so everybody knows, he actually didn't run the wrong route, but that's besides the point. And then not call out Devontae. How does Garrett Wilson feel about that?
Yeah.
How does Breece Hall feel about that?
I watched Garrett Wilson, his post-game press conference or interview, and he's just pissed. And they asked him
how many targets did he get?
He got some, but he's like, yeah, just playing like trash, and it bothers him. You can tell he cares. You watch Devontae, he doesn't care.
No.
Watch Rodgers. He doesn't care. Rodgers can't even look up most of the time. He's looking down.
Not anymore. Yep. He can't look at the reporters anymore because he knows he's selling a line of bullshit with his hope, and if you got to keep the hope and blah 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 blah. F you, buddy.
Yeah.
You're a piece of crap. The team stinks. You're an ass. The Jets are freaking terrible. You screwed them. The Packers took advantage of you.
That was the other thing, right? Because right away you talk about Sauce Gardner. You talk about how bad the defense was, giving up 31 points. The offense only scored 6. That's terrible. And Rodgers in the red zone wouldn't take any chances to try to score a touchdown, right? Just throw it away and go for a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But that was his out. The defense was terrible. With his defense supposed to be dominant, right?
Just like I'm still seeing things on Facebook where people were talking about Rodgers, and they're like, if it's Goody's fault, if we would have had a defense, we wasted all those years of rock. I'm like, are you still talking like this? There's still fans who believe this shit. That the Packers didn't win in the playoffs because they didn't have a defense. No, we lost all those NFC Championship games because our quarterback, when we're behind, we had a quarterback who would not take the chance to win because he didn't want to hurt his numbers. Period. End of story. We don't have a Patrick Mahomes when Rodgers was the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes don't care if he throws 10 interceptions as long as he wins the damn game.
I don't know why I never thought of it this way. Maybe I'm dumb. Oh, well, I am dumb, but maybe I just had an enlightening moment. I never thought of it this way. Do you think this whole time I thought Rodgers played that way because he was more concerned about his numbers? But do you think even more so than that, he played that way where he just threw in the towel, gave up, wouldn't take any chances, not because of his numbers, but because he didn't want to take the heat for the loss? Like if he took chances and screwed up and had interceptions, then someone could make the case and the heat would be on him for why they he didn't come through and
Here's
why
the
they
thing.
lost. And is it more about that for him, that he doesn't want to be criticized and he doesn't want to take the heat and all that, than it is just about his numbers? Or is it both? I don't know.
In 2019,
Mhm.
Matt LaFleur's first season, right? Was
I remember
2019?
it was fun.
Aaron Rodgers and the Packers went 13-3. They made the playoffs. They beat the Rams at home. Then they went to the 49ers and got destroyed. So Darius Smith said that the guys just weren't ready for the game. Aaron Rodgers, for the first time ever, played bad, but tried to come back and win that game.
That's true.
He threw 2 picks to Richard Sherman in the game. They lost badly. And after that, he stopped. I mean, he was already not trying, but there was a hope, there was a belief that it had come back, because he no longer had McCarthy and he had kind of more control with LaFleur. But still, LaFleur was doing a pretty good job of coaching. And Rodgers did fight back in that game. They didn't win, but he fought back. But they fought back and they still didn't win. And he threw picks, and the team wasn't ready to go up against that 49ers team because they couldn't compete with them. And when it comes down to is when Rodgers goes up against a team that he feels they can't compete with, that's when he gives up.
Mm.
But that one time he didn't. He tried. He tried in 2019 in the playoffs. Well, actually, I think it was 2020 by that point, of course, January 2020. But then the year after, of course, when Matt LaFleur kicked the field goal on 4th down, when it was 1st down, 2nd down, 3rd down, and 8, and Rodgers couldn't score on those first 3 downs, he went the entire offseason. He even went on Jeopardy to throw Matt LaFleur under the bus for kicking a field goal and not giving him the 4th down shot because he had nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't do it on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down. And you're right. There was no penalty for him there. It wasn't his fault the Packers lost. It was Matt LaFleur's fault because he kicked the field goal instead of giving him a chance on 4th and 8 when he couldn't do it on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down and 8 with the game on the line to win the game against Tampa Bay. Even after Tom Brady threw 3 picks in the second half and all this other crazy shit, that we had a chance to win the game, but Rodgers would not throw the ball into a tight window on 1st, 2nd, or 3rd down, or even run when he could have probably ran to about the 1. He tried passing on 1st down instead, but he could have maybe ran and got to like the 1, maybe even the touchdown. Who knows? But he didn't run. He tried to pass. Alan Lazard, who wasn't even looking for the ball on one of his plays. And then, of course, years later, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to the NFC champ, or you get to the game at home, his last game in the playoffs, where he just tried to throw to Devontae Adams all the time, even though Alan Lazard's open and guys were open everywhere else, but he never looked at him. Just threw to Devontae Adams the whole time.
Still the worst
And
is what? The 2016 championship game, though, right? Where it was like
the game against Atlanta is the most pathetic. That's the game where I lost. Until that game, I was a Rodgers fan, a huge Rodgers fan. But when I watched him in the second half of that game,
it wasn't even second half. It was like second quarter.
Half?
He just was like, we're done.
On the sidelines, he had given up.
Yeah.
Well, and now they got blown out by a lot.
But how does that happen? How do you, as the alpha quarterback, leader of the team, superstar guy, like, how do you have that attitude of like, these guys are just too good. We just can't play with them. How does that come about with you're supposed to have this uber confidence, and he always says he has so much confidence in himself and all this
I don't know.
bullcrap?
I just
that was disgusting. That game was horrible.
Right. And that was when he lost me. And that was when I started to watch him closely. And I'd be like, what is he doing? Why is he throwing the ball away all the time? Why is he giving up in his play? Why is he not trying to make things happen? And I can give Jordan Love respect, at least, for trying to make things happen. But he's just really dumb. He needs to not do dumb shit.
He does.
And that's the only, but I, as far as Jordan Love, the guy, I like Jordan Love, the guy. I like Jordan Love, the quarterback. But he still has to learn some things. He still has to, realize the situation and not freaking, it's just be smarter. Try to figure it out. Maybe Matt LaFleur's got to tell him after he gives him the play call, don't do something dumb here. Just remind them. Don't do something dumb here. Just say
Yeah.
that little line. Hey, like remember when Mike Holmgren would do that?
Holmgren did that to Favre all the time.
Favre never listened to him, but he still did it to him. He still said it to him all the time.
He did
no
for a
rocket
couple
balls,
years.
please. No rocket balls, please. Right?
He did for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's where Favre won MVPs.
I know.
He listened to Holmgren those years.
So the Jets are cooked. The Pack has still got a chance if they decide they want to win and not want to
NFC.
make their guys look great.
Let's go back to that NFC.
Okay, NFC. Yep.
Because
we're playing the Bears this week.
We have the NFC North. We got the Vikings. We got the Lions. Both ahead of the Packers, and then we got the Packers. And we know the Bears stink.
And we lost to them both.
Right? And we know the Bears stink. But then outside of that, so you want to get into the playoffs, right? Oof. The only other threat is the Eagles, pretty much.
And we lost to them too.
So it is a little sketchy.
We got the Seahawks who are on our schedule.
Yeah.
We got the 49ers who are on our schedule.
Yep.
We need to win those games.
Yep.
If we win those games, the Cardinals will win their division. More than likely, if we can take out the 49ers and the Seahawks. We can't compete with the Eagles at this point. We have to hope other teams can beat them.
All right.
When it comes to Washington's probably going to win their division. They're playing great.
Right. They're playing really good. Here's the thing. Packers are 6
and the South is what? The Falcons and the Tampa Bay is pretty good. Tampa Bay. Yeah. But Tampa Bay's been losing a lot of close games at the end where Baker Mayfield doesn't even get a chance in overtime to get the ball. Like the other team just goes down, scores, and wins.
So the Packers have the Bears this week. Then the Niners at home.
That's got to win that game.
Then the Dolphins at home. Then they play at the Lions.
Got to win that game.
That one's going to be tough. Then they're at the Seahawks, which tends to be
win that game.
Place to play. And they have the Saints at home. They're at the Vikings, and then they're Bears at home to finish the season. So out of all of that, I mean, what do you think? They could win. They could. Good scenario, they could be 11-5.
I think they're going to lose to the Dolphins.
Or I'm sorry, 11-6.
Which sounds dumb because you think the Dolphins suck. But if Tua's playing, they don't suck. And he finds their guys, and their offense is fast. I know it's in Green Bay, so you might be like, I think it's in Green Bay, right? The Dolphins.
It is Green Bay, yeah, and it's like late November.
Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah,
is it Thanksgiving? It's like Thanksgiving night game.
Yep, I think you're
kind
right.
Of cool.
Yep.
So that's interesting. But the bottom line is this: they got to beat the 49ers. They got to beat the Lions. They got to take out the Lions. They got to show that they can do what we want them to do. They always beat the Vikings at the Vikings for some reason every year. They lose at home, and then they beat them there every year. They play the Vikings early at Lambeau, lose, and then go later in the season to Minnesota and then win every year. Like the last 3 years, they've done that, which is really weird. But of course, we don't have Aaron Jones anymore. That's on the other side. So I don't know. Maybe that's because he's kind of the difference maker all the time in those games when they play him.
I mean, if they finish 12-5, or if they finish 12,
they don't even have to be 12-5. They could be 10-6, 10-7.
But I mean, if they finish that, but I'm looking at this. They got the Bears twice. I would think they should win that. The Dolphins at home, they should.
I'm a little. I don't know.
Saints at home, they should win that. So it's like
MVS, baby. MVS, 3 catches, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns.
You got to worry about MVS.
Who's going to cover MVS?
You can still get deep on you. Eric Stokes. Run straight, fast.
Oh my God, that's true. He could cover MVS, just run straight because the MVS just runs straight fast. So yeah, I guess that's,
run straight fast.
You can do it.
Eric Stokes, that's your defensive plan. Do something with everybody else. Eric Stokes, your man up. MVS the whole game. Run straight, fast. That's all you got to do.
Jeff Hafley, I don't think he does. He doesn't do that.
I mean, I see like 6 more wins here, and that would put you at 12-5. I mean, come on, they're making the playoffs then. The Vikings can still fall down, and probably will, because Sam Darnold makes a lot of dumb plays.
He's really dumb.
So he's probably going to cost them at some point, even though Aaron Jones is good and they got other good guys.
Yeah, but Aaron Jones keeps getting knocked out games all the time. He starts and plays great, then he gets knocked out. Then he comes back again, and then he gets knocked out.
Yeah, the Lions proved to me that, I mean, they had no business being in this last game, and they still found a way to win. The Lions are a team that can win a lot of different ways. They're tough. They're tough-minded, and they'll figure it out. And the only thing that'll do it, man, is if Dan Campbell's too aggressive again in a dumb spot, which could clearly happen.
It could happen.
But I think the Lions are going to be there.
the key to the beating the Lions is Jared Goff. I know he's playing great right now, but he just threw 5 picks in the game. You know why? Because he's not that great.
Yeah.
When he sits back there and gets perfect protection, yeah, he looks like a freaking superstar. But if you get pressure up the middle and take him off his spot, he's terrible. He can't throw the ball on the run. He's not good off-platform throws. What he is very good at is standing in the pocket and throwing the ball. He's not afraid about the rush. So that's something. But that also leaves him as a sitting duck. So if our pass rush can get there, or any team's pass rush can get there, he's in trouble. And, so that's now the Lions have a good offensive line, but that's their key to beating them. Because guess what? They got too many guys that are good everywhere else.
Yeah.
Like their whole offense is scary.
And their defense
Goff is the weak link.
And their defense moving Branch. Well, they do moving Branch back to safety allows him to do more stuff, be in on more plays, and he's a good player. So, but Lee and JJ and other people are seeing at least 4 more wins, so 10-7 probably gets them into the playoffs.
There's 8 games left. If they go 500,
it is weird because you got to think. 7. You only got three wild card spots, right? And the Eagles are in the mix. The Eagles, Vikings, Packers are all going to be in that mix, and then also, the Bears are out. I don't think anybody from the West or the South. So maybe that's just it. Maybe it's all.
Dude, the 49ers got Christian McCaffrey back. And if they somehow figure it out and they start chugging through, guys, they're scary. The Seahawks are a crazy. They're kind of like. They're scary.
I do like that Walker kid running back, though. He's kind of.
They got two good running backs. If Gino just doesn't do dumb crap, they win games too.
That's the thing. Gino does dumb crap.
Like
you can always count on Gino.
When we beat the Cardinals, we had no business beating the Cardinals. I still don't know
why the Cardinals aren't even good. The Cardinals look like garbage against the Packers. I have no idea how they look. They've
won like 4 games in a row since then.
So their passing game looks so terrible. Kyler Murray looked terrible. The receivers couldn't get open.
Kyler Murray didn't try to run against us. I don't know. Remember, we watched all the plays. Remember, I showed all the plays where how did the Packers hold them down? And sometimes I think he just didn't try to throw it. And the Packers were smart, and they kept their eyes on him, and they kept them from scrambling too much. And it really made a difference. And I don't know why other teams aren't doing it. But the Cardinals have
video games that week.
I don't know. The other thing is the Cardinals had, I think their main guys were out at receiver, right? They didn't have one of their guys, and so they were kind of knocked out. And, and we've had some advantageous players when we went up against teams like even the Lions. We should have kicked the crap out of them. They didn't have Jameson Williams. Branch got kicked out in the first quarter. Like we should have we should have at least been in the game. So that also concerns me as a Packer fan is why can't we, when the other team is definitely behind the 8 ball, we're not making plays back. And you might say, well, we didn't have Jair. Well, that's not a bad thing, folks. It is kind of because Stokes is out there. I would give my left nut I give both my nuts. I don't need them anymore. I don't need to have any more kids. I'm 50. I give both nuts to get Rasul Douglas back here, but it ain't going to happen.
How good is the Bills defense playing? Speaking of that,
they're kicking everybody's ass.
And I know he's just one piece, but you got to think he's also a leader. He's also spreading information. Like he's a guy that probably talks to all the other guys and gives them tips and all this stuff. Like how much better? Because the Bills have been, this team where, yes, Sean McDermott is the defensive guy and blah, blah, blah. But their defense would always let them down, in the playoffs or in late season games, giving up 30, 35, 40, whatever, like all these high scoring things. And now they're just crushing it on the defensive end. And I know they have other skilled players, but the impact of a good, smart veteran player who's willing to, share knowledge and lift other guys up and exude confidence. And maybe that's the thing too, in a way, like Rasul not having to be one of the main leaders of the whole team is better for him. Because I don't think he has to do that in Buffalo. And he was kind of looked at to do that here in Green Bay because they didn't have any leadership. But their defense just is at a whole nother level. That's the thing that surprised me about the Bills. more than anything else.
Well, it wasn't at the beginning of the year this year. They actually were playing like crap on
Right.
defense. So they've changed some things around. But
Yeah.
I don't know much about the Bills, and we don't have our guy John, who's usually on here talking about the Bills.
John, he should
hasn't
be
been here.
Malik Willis.
But yeah, well, Malik Willis hasn't played, so he hasn't been here to talk about it.
Yeah.
The one thing that's really cool, if anybody has time, I usually don't watch Locked On Packers with what's his nuts, that ding dong, what's his name?
Peter Bukowski?
Yeah, Peter Bukowski.
Or is it Chuck Bartowski?
No, that's Chuck. No, we're talking Peter Bukowski.
All right.
But anyways, he had an exclusive interview with Evan Williams
It's a fake last name by
this
the way.
week.
He's trying to get the Bartowski fan base.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, he's got an interview with Evan Williams. So if anybody wants to watch it, a cool interview with a young player on the Packers who's doing awesome, rookie interview. Like usually we don't get to see very many of these interviews, especially like a half-hour long interview, but it's a half-hour long interview. And there's a couple good points in there that Evan Williams talks about. One of the key things I took from it was he talked about Jeff Hafley before each game, talks to the defense, and he tells them, just play fast. He's like, you guys should know what's going on. We're going to try to put you guys in the right position to make plays. He says he keeps the defense simple. He makes everybody's assignments fairly simple. He said there is a lot of communication we have to do, make sure we're communicating. But if it's very freeing for us to know that we can, if we see it, we can go. He wants us to, if we see it, go. He's like, I'd rather have you see it and go than have you see it and maybe not go. Like, not make a, you know what I mean?
I like that.
And not be aggressive. And that's the difference between this defense with Jeff Hafley as opposed to Joe Barry. Joe Barry was like, oh, wait and see what happens, then whatever. And Jeff Hafley's telling him, listen, just go. So even if they make mistakes on play, like Evan Williams, that's what he said. He's like, hey, I know that if I make a mistake, the coach isn't going to be mad as long as I make that mistake full throttle. Like, I'm going for it. And more often than not, when the Packers are aggressive, when the defense is aggressive and going for it, they make plays. They stop. Yeah. Like probably 9 out of 10 times, they're dictating to the offense, right? And that's why the Packers defense has been more productive. Now, we still give up some big plays. We still get beat by some good teams, right? And we still have some issues there. But it's better. And that's the main thing is, according to Evan Williams, the defense is simpler and they're allowed to go and attack and be aggressive,
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. What? He likes Bartowski the best.
Oh, he's thinking of Baraski. No, that's different. That's Baraski Productions.
Oh,
that's a YouTube guy. I'm talking about Peter Bukowski. It's Locked On Packers.
He likes Peter different. Better than Pack a Day. What? Better than the Herman?
I like Andy Herman. Though, like I said, his Kenny Clark love is and his Jordan. He's become more of a shill for the Pack. Like now that he's got the credentials to the. Right. Go to the practices and stuff. He's definitely been less critical on things.
The guys.
So he's hardcore. Well, yeah. Well, he's hardcore on. He hates freaking Eric Stokes. Like he talks shit about Eric Stokes constantly.
Oh. Okay.
And even said Quay Walker. Yeah, he doesn't need to play anymore. And he's been talking shit about those two guys hardcore.
Wow.
But he's still loving up his Kenny Clarks and his Rashawn Gary. These guys are going to come around and make plays. And Jordan Love is still really good. He's only 26 out of 39. That's halfway good.
I want dudes who perform and make plays.
Yeah, especially if you make the big dough.
Well,
that's why Evan Williams is awesome.
The Packers have given a lot of money to guys who don't perform. So, I don't care. Just don't play them then. I'm sure there's plenty of other teams. Guys they paid a lot of money to that don't live up to the contract, but the Packers have numerous guys that they paid a lot of money to, don't live up to the contract, and they keep trying to tell the fan base that those guys are stars.
Man, Lee is
stars.
Lee is all over the big time guys.
If it's Quay, see it, pause. If Gary, see it, patty cake. If it's Stokes, see it, get burned. If it's Kenny, see it, get stuffed. It's fair. It's like these guys are all. What's the common denominator of those 4 guys?
First round pick by the
Packers. By the Packers.
And none of them. Don't forget about Jair.
Yeah, Jair's terrible.
He doesn't see it.
He puts us around.
see it, but he's the patty cake. He's a
There was what was the freaking game I was watching? I can't remember now, but there was a game I was watching here this last weekend when the Packers weren't on. I didn't watch a lot of games, so I was watching one. It's probably the Sunday nighter, and I saw the defense. I think it was Tampa Bay come up and runs to the outside. The corners were coming up and playing the run, and that makes a huge difference to your run defense.
Well, that's why Keyshawn Nixon is so good playing outside corner.
If you're
because even if he gets beat a couple times, who gives a shit? Because he stopped so many running plays to the outside.
If your corners
and screen passes,
if your corners putts around and get blocked, it's just you're giving up the edge. You're giving so much more room to those guys to make big plays. But if your corners come up and attack the run, because mostly what's the thing? The corners might be unblocked, or they have a receiver who isn't good at blocking, doesn't really want to block, trying to block them. So just get rid of that guy and go get your nose in there. Like that makes such a big difference. Corner run support makes a huge difference to your overall run defense, and the Packers have lived without it for so long. It's vital. So we got one, we need a second one, and then we can do something.
Yeah.
And stop these damn running teams in the playoffs. But we'll see. I think the Packers make the playoffs. I think everybody's right.
Yeah, I think they're probably. They have to really tank it to miss out of the playoffs. I think
6 more wins. To be honest, I really do.
You think they need 6 more wins to make it up?
No, I think they're going to have 6 more wins.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think the Packers finish 12-5. I really do. I think they're going to beat the Bears twice. I think they're going to win either Vikings or Lions, but not both.
I think they need to win them both.
And some of those other games are very winnable. Like they're at home against not good teams. Saints, Dolphins, you got to win those. Come on.
Well, then they're going to win them all.
No, they're not going to win them all. They're going
they better beat the Bears twice.
That's what I said. They'll do something dumb and drop a game here or there. They'll drop either the Lions or the Vikings game, and then they'll drop like one other game, but maybe 2. But that's it. But I think
let's get to the Bears game. Bears fired their offensive coordinator.
Bears are a mess.
Looks like freaking dog crap.
JJ says
the team is giving up on their head coach. They asked their coach, they asked the players, like, "Hey, is the team giving up on him?" And they're like, I would like to think we didn't give up on him, except that means they did give up on him.
Offensive line still stinks. So the Packers pass rush will look good this game, right?
Their offensive line is terrible. Yeah.
So don't get too excited, Packer fans, if the Packers have a good game.
Here's the thing. What's the highlight of the Bears offense?
I have no clue. What is it?
3 good receivers. What's our weakest point? Our corners.
Yeah, but
Keyshawn Nixon can only cover one of them. Now, we don't have Preston Smith covering a receiver anymore, so that's a positive. But it's still, who's going to cover the other 2? Who's going to cover Rome Odunze? Who's going to cover, the salty veteran from the Chargers? What's his name?
Keenan Allen. He's so slow.
Yeah. He is slow, but put Javon Bullard on him then. Have him smack him a couple times. Speaking of smacking, did you see that in the Vikings game that who they playing this last week? I don't know, but who they were playing, the corner was just beating the snot out of freaking Justin Jefferson. He couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. All the things I said about him when he came out in the draft. Just chuck him at the line of scrimmage a couple times. Oh, it was beautiful. He couldn't do shit. No, he also had Sam Darnold who sucks, but still, it was gorgeous. When the guy does what I said, that's how you stop Justin Jefferson. Just get in his face and smack him a couple times at the line of scrimmage. You can't do anything. Yes, Evan Williams is back, hopefully, and starting, and that will save the defense, because with him back there, then that makes Bullard play nickel, which helps. Brings Keyshawn over to outside corner, and then our only weak link is freaking Jair / Valentine / Stokes / whoever other crappy guy they put out there. But we got 4 guys who can play in the secondary. The other thing is, what is your opinion, Jace?
Well, the Jags, 12-7, they won.
The Jags. Well, who was the guy that they had that was playing in the corner that was beating the snot out of them?
I don't remember. Doesn't
matter. No, whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyways, so who's going to win? Pack or Bears?
It's the Packers, dude. I know
they should win. But I'm
Okay,
telling you, man, they just
Just-
fired their offensive coordinator. Caleb Williams is crazy. I've seen games where he just runs around in circles 25 times. Nobody catches him. Our defensive line is not good at getting the quarterback. And actually, they can get there, but they can never bring him down. Well, guess what? Caleb Williams is really good at when a guy gets there, getting away from it.
I know,
And
but
then
he's not that accurate throwing on the run. I saw that. He's not that
yeah,
accurate.
but you know what? It doesn't matter if he's still getting away and the guys are getting wide ass open. He doesn't have to be perfectly accurate if the receiver can make an adjustment, and he's got 3 good receivers. Guess what? I'm concerned. And you might say, Ben, that's dumb. You shouldn't be concerned against the crappy Bears.
I gotta check the weather forecast.
I'm telling you, I'm concerned. Because I don't think we can pressure Caleb Williams. And if you can't pressure, and you're talking about a Bears the offensive line that is terrible. If Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary cannot get there in this game, they both need to freaking retire. Because they're going up against the weakest, crappiest offensive line in history. Caleb Williams, as soon as he gets the ball, he's got 20 guys in his face, and he has to try to get rid of it. He's getting pressure immediately on plays.
All right, Sunday looks really nice. High of 59.
What the heck's going on in November? Why is it
59?
59?
And let me see the wind here, because the wind
seems
seems
holy
pretty
shit.
chill, 7 to 12, gusts up to 26 miles an hour though, at certain points of the day. But that's earlier, so I think seems like the wind will be pretty chill.
When is the Packer game? Is it not at noon or what?
I think it's noon.
Oh well, I would think it'd be noon too, but I don't remember. I gotta look it up. What's it say?
I'm looking it up again. I went to the Vikings and I went to it's noon. It's a nooner. It's a nooner. I mean, so the only concern I was going to have is if it was going to be crazy wind and crappy weather about the Packers trying to pass too much. But if it's not crazy wind and the weather looks pretty good, then yeah, the Packers will be fine. They'll win this game. 28 to, well, let's see, 31 to 18. 31 to 18. Packers are going to win.
All right. Well,
He says 27-16 Packers. The Bears aren't good. It was all smoke and mirrors early on. They made a couple of big plays. It was all exciting. The offensive line is terrible. The defense is better in some cases, yes, but their D line is not that good. So they'll be fine.
all right. Well, let's hope so. And then Matt Eberflus. I'm just glad they didn't fire Matt Eberflus this week. They only fired the offense coordinator, because then they don't get the big bump from firing the head coach and whatever. They just fired the offense coordinator, which actually is probably even dumber because the head coach is not an offensive coach. So it really puts Caleb Williams behind the 8 ball with a whole new guy calling plays and stuff when he's a rookie. And
is it the players or is it the coaches? Like Luke Getsy was the choice for OC, and now he's already been fired from his gig this season.
That's because he was Aaron Rodgers' buddy.
Man, Luke,
he had no business being an offense coordinator.
Terrible. Wow,
he wasn't good. The only good move he made was telling the guys to sign Lukey Patrick when he went there.
Yeah, that's true. He did have Lucas Patrick always follow him around because he needed him to teach the other offensive linemen how to play this stupid system. Yeah. But anyway.
All right, we've been going for like 2 hours. Let's go.
MVS resurgence. He can still get deep and score some tutties if you throw it to him.
All right. Packer win, hopefully. Hopefully they stop trying to freaking make guys look like they deserve the money they paid them and they just want to win games. That'd be good. And then hopefully, the Lions start losing some games and the Vikings keep sucking.
I don't think the Lions are going to lose too many. Packers are not going to win the division. Vikings will probably fall down because of Darnold stinks and Aaron Jones might be hurt. Bears stink. Packers will make the playoffs. That's fine. Last thing before we go out is this for you. So if oh shit, jumped out of my brain. Never mind. We're done. See you later, guys. Just kidding. I'll try to oh, Kirko. So did you happen to see I don't know why the Bucks stink so bad. It's a mess. JJ, we're not going to talk about that. But
Bucks.
Ben loves
Kirko.
that
I once quick sideline on the Bucks. I once wore a Milwaukee Bucks sweater. Or sweatshirt to work one day.
That would be something.
It was my off day at work when I worked at Toys R Us, actually.
Yeah.
And one of my fellow employees, who is a female who is from Minnesota, she was like, "What's your shirt say? Milwaukee sucks? I thought you're from Wisconsin." And I'm like, "It doesn't say Milwaukee sucks. It says Milwaukee Bucks." And I realized, man, you changed that B to an S, and that kind of describes what the Bucks have been doing at the start of this year. They've kind of been Milwaukee sucks. And I don't know how they're going to get out of that because they're playing like dog piss.
They better figure it out.
Okay, so what's the next question?
Yeah.
Sorry, I probably screwed your
All
whole
right,
thing up.
you didn't. You gave me time to remember it. Last thing before we go, I saw a side-by-side recently of your man Kirko Chains
Quickle Chains.
at the beginning of the season or before when his introductory press conference where he was all dapped up, tight haircut, wearing a suit and tie and all this stuff. And then the latest Kirko Chains after the game, more like Kirko Chains in a hoodie and wearing the chains and all that sort of stuff. So do you think that Atlanta started off slower because Kirko couldn't be Kirko, and now that he's the chains man, that's why they're doing pretty good?
No, I think Kirko Chains is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL in the league at this point. When he has time, he can pick you apart. He's very smart. But I don't know if he's got that game winner type mentality. I don't know.
He
But
threw
he's
for 500 yards.
I know he did. He's accurate as hell, and he's crazy good. If you don't get pressure on him, you're going to get your ass kicked.
He's making Drake London look good and Kyle Pitts.
I know. Drake London sucks. I know. He's a big, tall, slow guy. I get it.
Drake London can't even get open, but Kirko
I know.
throws it so good he gets it to him.
It's true. And Kyle Pitts has done jack shit for his first 2 years, and all of a sudden now he's looking pretty good with Kirko Chains. I get it. I know. Kirko Chains, he's the man. The Vikings hated him. They were dumb for letting him go because now they got Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy is hurt. But I don't know. It's one of those things.
All right. Well, Packers win,
worried.
go to 7-3. I'm not worried about Kirko Chains either. If we meet him in the playoffs, he'll turtle up. Kenny Clark will sack him. It'll be fine.
Kenny Clark, he'll get a sack. So it's Kirko Chains.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you. Go Pack Go. Nooner against the Bears. Bears still suck. There's no doubt about that. Be good.
Tell me why, unicorn, you're still home.